Meet Aurora Heartsong, hailing from the Beta family of the Sacred Moon Pack, a lineage steeped in tradition for centuries. Today marks a momentous occasion as her brother, Caleb, returns alongside Anderson Kane, the soon-to-be Alpha, after their rigorous training at the Alpha Academy. Anderson, who has been in a long-standing relationship with Aurora's twin sister Amelia, has chosen her as his mate. As preparations for the Ascension ceremony ensue, Aurora finds herself immersed in familial duties, catering to Amelia's needs as the next Luna. While she dutifully fulfills her responsibilities, Aurora grapples with the stark differences between her and her sister Amelia. The epitome of charm and frivolity contrasts sharply with Aurora's studious and responsible nature. Their 18th birthday celebration painted a picture of harmony, but beneath the facade lies Aurora's discontent with the superficiality of it all. Amidst the pink decor and pop rock tunes, Aurora's longing for authenticity shines through, symbolized by her preference for chocolate over vanilla and her distaste for conformity to societal norms.
Chapter 1: The Dam Burst.
I'm Aurora. I am the youngest child of Chansey and Allison Griffin, Beta family of Sacred Moon Pack in the state of Montana. My brother Caleb is returning from Alpha training today. Alpha Anderson Kane and my brother left nearly 2 years ago to learn to be the best leaders we could have. My twin sister Amelia has been on pins and needles all day. She will become Anderson's chosen Luna at the Ascension ceremony tonight. I, on the other hand, have chosen to become an attorney for the pack. Now that shifters have been acknowledged by the human world, we find ourselves embroiled in many conflict resolutions. I want to be a part of that. We are constantly appearing in human courts and are in need of legal representation. The Council of Shifters accepted 20 applicants from various shifter species, and I scored in the highest percentile, meaning my education will be provided for. My preference for my specialty is to represent the monarchies, especially the dragons. They are among the few shifters who have had to remain hidden. I want to help them adjust and be able to interact with the other species. All day, my parents and I have been preparing for the ceremonies tonight. Decorating, dealing with caterers, setting up the vendors. I just finished speaking with the photographer and videographer to show them where they need to be. Amelia's voice sounded in my head. Even her mind link is nasally and reminiscent of nails on a chalkboard. Where is my dress? I told you to get it steamed and return to me. I only have an hour to get ready. First off, I dropped your dress off. As a courtesy, anything more than that is on you. If you aren't ready on time, that is not my fault. I am your Luna. You will do as I say. Bring me my dress. Again, first off, you are not my Luna. Secondly, I am not your housemaiden, your highness. Get your own damn dress, Mom. Make Aurora bring my dress to me. My mother calls out, Aurora, take your sister's dress to her. She needs to get ready. I came in from the patio, looking at Mom, and said, no, as I turned back and finished what I was doing. My mother snaps, why must you always be difficult? Your sister needs your help. It would take 2 minutes. I grunted, and why must you always cater to her every whim? She is 18, not an invalid. If it only takes 2 minutes, she should be quite capable of fetching the dress herself. I honestly feel like a servant where she's concerned. My father snaps at me to apologize to my mother and take the dress to Amelia. Rolling my eyes, I refuse to apologize, but I do retrieve the dress. There is only so much disobedience this family allows me. Walking into Amelia's room, I hang the dress on her closet door, just as she walks out of the bathroom. Good, you're here. I see telling Daddy has you doing as you're told. Now, I need you to do my hair. Or do I have to get Daddy's attention again? I smirk. I once believed you would outgrow your mean girl mentality. Hoped for it, actually, that you could possibly learn to be a decent human being. But nope. Even your wolf is rotten to the core. She screeched. You have always been so jealous of me. Why? Because I'm prettier, popular, older? What, Rory? What is it? I doubled over in laughter. Gripping her shoulders, I spun her to face the mirror. Prettier. We are identical twins, you halfwit. Popular. My friends aren't followers. They don't fear me. Older. By minute and 37 seconds. And jealous? Of what, Leah? Mom barged into the room. Aurora rose. Stop irritating your sister this instant. She asks for very little from you. The least you can do is be supportive on her big day. I do not know whatever has gotten into you. Now, fix her hair, as she's asked, while I do her makeup. I grinned and said, You are so right, Mommy dearest. She doesn't ask. Ever, actually. She demands, and I irritate her? That's rich. Goddess forbid I ever ruffle the feathers of the family's golden bird. Her big day consists of stealing a title that isn't rightfully hers, depriving not one, but two beings of the other half of their souls. The goddess doctrine dictates we never violate her edicts. Yet, this entire pack is fine with falling out of favor of her by doing just that. Forgive me for not condoning that behavior. I entered my own room nearly an hour later, running behind because I had only just finished with my sister. I jumped into a quick shower, getting my own gown on. I quickly braided two thin braids of my silver hair, pulling them back and fastening them with a jeweled barrette. I slapped a little makeup on my face and had just exited my room. From below, I hear my brother yell, Where is my favorite sister? I want to see her smiling face. Amelia tittered, I'm right here, silly, with Caleb replying, I know you're here, Amelia. I meant Rory, and you know it. My whole face lit up in a huge grin as I raced for the stairs, only to falter when my mother's voice snidely remarks, You know your youngest sister, always dawdling. I frown. No matter how hard I try, I will always just be the extra, the kid no one expected. Yet here I am. I skip down the stairs, eager to hug my brother, the only one who's ever got me. My hero, I yell, Caleb, and leap the last 5 steps into his arms. He catches me and spins me around. I have missed this face little bit. Let me look at you. He stands me on my feet and twirls me, whistling low. You are an absolute beauty, Rory, I smile, kissing his cheek. He turns me around so I can greet Anderson. Our eyes meet, and Isla mutters, Mate, in my brain. No, no, no! He turns and grabbed Amelia's hand. Walking away, I pull into Caleb's arms, and the dam bursts.
Chapter 2, My Opinions Matter.
Caleb whispers, What just happened, baby girl? I shake my head violently, and he leads me outside to the back side of the garden. Talk to me, Aurora. I dry my tears and try to smile. My mate will be pledging himself to my sister in a couple hours. How's that for irony? I was just preaching about true mates to her, never realizing the other half of a body's soul she was stealing would be mine. He dried my cheeks and told me Anderson is an honorable man, sister. He will do the right thing. I am sure he's explaining everything to Amelia right now. She will understand. Everything will be okay. I shake my head, chuckling. Bet. $50 says I am rejected within the hour. He groans. You and your betting. I will take that bet. I know my best friend. Easiest $50 I've ever made. I laugh at him. We walk back inside to our father waiting on us. Alpha wants us in his office. This is a mess. Why can't anything be easy with you, Aurora? I rolled my eyes and linked Caleb. Still think you're winning the bet? Caleb asked. How, exactly? Is this Rory's fault, Dad? The goddess chooses mates. Amelia is the one who overstepped. My father snapped that this is not Caleb's decision. We follow the Alpha, entering the office. There they all sit. Alpha, Luna, my mother, and Anderson, with Amelia in his lap, consoling her tears. Isla whines deep and my heart hurts. I comfort her, letting her know we are stronger than this, bigger than the pain. I sit beside Caleb. As he takes my hand, my father plops beside my mother. Alpha John said, "Well, this is an unfortunate turn of events. Aurora, I am sure you understand the significance of this. As the second-born daughter of a beta, it's only logical the first daughter be the mate of the alpha. Anderson and Amelia love each other. They have been together for several years. This wrinkle cannot be allowed to throw a monkey wrench into their plans." Caleb squeezed my hand as I began to shake. I ask, "So I am once again, what? Expected to step aside? Take a back seat to the whatever Amelia wants. Amelia gets dog and pony show?" And Caleb squeezes my hand harder, knowing I am about to say something I can't take back. Amelia screeches, "You have always wanted what I have, Aurora. All our lives you have made everything about you." I busted out laughing. "Are you serious? Is she serious? I have never wanted what you have. Nothing in our lives has ever been about me. Our birthdays. Not once were they ever what I wanted. I hate pink. Boy bands are for cheerleaders. Rainbow confetti cakes are disgusting. Have I ever complained? The only person in this entire pack who ever gave a shit about me is my brother. I learned a long time ago. I was just the extra kid, not the bonus kid, not the youngest. I was the throwaway, the one not anybody needed or wanted. So if I was called in here to be rejected by a coward, then let's do this." Anderson coughed and stuttered, "I'm not rejecting you. Axel would weaken. But I love Amelia. I need you both." Caleb growled, "What the fuck, dude? No, that's not how this works. You don't get to do this to my baby sister." Dad snarled, "Stand down, Caleb. This does not concern you." "This is between Anderson and the girls," Caleb growled back. "You're okay with this bullshit. You are okay with the alpha fucking one daughter, while causing excruciating pain to the other. What kind of parent are you? My goddess, I have never been so ashamed to be a member of this family than I am at this moment." Alpha John roared, "Enough. This is Anderson's decision. He will mate and mark Amelia at the ceremony tonight, and Aurora will do her duty to the pack." I gasped, and Caleb was already shaking his head to say something else. I stood and said, "I will not, Anderson. By accepting Amelia as your chosen, you are rejecting Isla and me. Therefore, I, Aurora Rose Heartsong Griffin, reject you, Alpha Anderson Robert Kane of Sacred Moon, as my mate. Now and forever." Anderson grabbed his chest and hit his knees. He moaned, "Nuu," and my mother slapped me, screaming, "You ungrateful child. Everything has to be your way. All the time." Even though the ache in my chest was stealing my breath, I said, "Never lay hands on me again. I follow the goddess's doctrine, and by this pack not doing so, I pray you do not bring her wrath down upon your heads." As I turned to go, Alpha John said, "You are hereby banished from Sacred Moon. This is no longer your home. You have 24 hours to vacate my territory." I muttered, "So be it," and walked out. I immediately went to my room and started packing. I would simply head to the university campus 2 weeks early. I kept telling Isla how sorry I was, but she assured me it was our only option. She was whining but whispered, "We will be fine. We are strong, and the goddess is on our side. We are adhering to her teachings. We will not be the ones with regrets." I smiled. Okay, I wasn't a cheerleader. Buisla is. I went through everything I wanted to take. I took nothing that would remind me of the betrayal of my parents. My birth certificate will remain. I am legally changing my name to my grandmother's maiden name. My mother's mother was Gabriella Heartsong, of the Alaskan Heartsong Pack. She was the only person besides Caleb who knew my struggles and knew my pain. From now on, I will put myself first. and I will become the person I was meant to be. My opinions matter.
Important note.
To all our listeners, if you've been swept away by the captivating tale and are enjoying the journey, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Additionally, for those who prefer reading over listening, you can subscribe to our Book Lover Aficionado package on Patreon for just $10 a month, where you'll have access to both listen and read options. Your donations mean the world to us and help us bring even more thrilling stories to life. Find the Patreon link in the description below and become a part of our storytelling community today.
Chapter 3. I Need to Think. Caleb's POV.
I watched my baby sister walk out the door with a heavy heart. I looked at everyone in that room, individually. Then I asked, is this what we have become as a pack? Have we forsaken true mates for what we believe a superior choice? Because if it is, I find myself reevaluating everything I have ever known us to be. My father said, Caleb, you know Aurora is not Luna material. Amelia has been groomed for 3 years to take her position at Anderson's side. She is the perfect Luna. I scoffed. I know no such thing. What I do know is Aurora is a woman of intelligence, integrity, strength, a loving, giving woman who has bent over backwards to be the daughter she is. She has struggled her entire life, just to be seen by her parents as their child, someone of value to this pack. But no, what I see is a family determined to hide her in the shadow of her twin, a vapid, shallow, self-entitled bitch who bullied her, put her down and made fun of her whole existence, all the while being encouraged to do all that by the very same people who created Aurora. Amelia screamed. She wanted to take Anderson away from me. She wanted to steal my happiness, to make me suffer. You're my brother. You're supposed to be on my side. But instead, you think it's fine for her to steal my mate. I look at her, my eyes wide, and ask, do you even hear the bullshit coming out of your mouth? You spoiled little bitch. She can't steal your mate. You don't have one. You stole hers. The ego you have is astronomical. I am your brother, but I am Aurora's brother too. Every single one of you have forgotten that. Just like you forgot she is your sister. And you both forgot she was your daughter. She's right. She has always been the throwaway. I am so ashamed of everyone in this room. Anderson speaks for the first time. So, where does that leave us, Caleb? You are my best friend, as close as a brother to me all our lives. I didn't know Aurora would turn out to be my mate. There was no way I could choose. My wolf wants his mate. But I want Amelia. I shouldn't have to choose. Shaking me head. There shouldn't have been a choice. Anderson, you should have told Amelia you were going to accept your mate. Amelia should have understood. My parents should have shared a happy and proud moment with their youngest child. Our Alpha and Luna should have encouraged you to be with your goddess-given gift. Those are the only shoulds that should have happened. Instead, we have a chosen mating that sees my baby sister banished, and not a fucking one of you seemed concerned at how low we have fallen as pack. What about you, Luna Bridget? You haven't weighed in at all. I was actually convinced you cared about Aurora. Seems I was wrong about that as well. Alpha John warned. Watch how you speak, boy. I will not be disrespected, I scoffed. Or what? You'll banish me too? Anderson yelled. No, enough of this. Luna Bridget said, Caleb, I care deeply for Aurora. I would have been so very proud to see her become Luna of this pack. It is her birthright, and she would be a hell of a Luna. Oh, the changes she would have wrought. But in this, as in all things, I have to bow to the demands of my Alpha. Alpha John snapped. Why didn't you speak up then? Here you sit extolling all Aurora's virtues, while you sat silently when she was here. She sneered. I was told to keep my mouth shut. Do you not remember? He, at least, had the decency to look chagrined. I spoke quietly. I am not sure how to deal with this. My every instinct tells me to follow my sister out of this pack. My sense of duty holds me in indecision. One thing I do know. I am so very ashamed of my family. What should have been a happy occasion, my homecoming, my ascension to Beta, pales in comparison to the grief I feel. No matter what happens after this, I lose something very dear to me. I am disgusted, and as I said, ashamed. I am going to spend time with my sister. You people do what you want. And I walked out. I found Aurora in her room, burning photographs, only keeping the ones with me in them, tears rolling down her cheeks. I lifted her and sat down on the chair, holding her in my lap. My heart broke even further as her sobs rang out through the room. I said, "I'm not bothering to unpack my suitcases. I am going with you, wherever you go." Her throat caught on a sob. "No, Caleb, absolutely not. You are a strong man, an alpha-born beta. This pack is going to need you, desperately. Anderson is a weak alpha. Your strength supersedes his own. You are even stronger than Dad. Without you, Sacred Moon will fall. I know it. And you know it." I shrugged. "I don't want to be here without you. It won't feel the same. It won't be my home." Again, she shakes her head. I said, "No, they need you. I will be okay." I emailed the council. They have already responded. I told them everything. Full disclosure, they have granted me lone wolf status, and I will only be 45 minutes away at university. For the next 2 years, we will FaceTime and text, and you can come see me every weekend if you want. You are the only family I have, Caleb. I need to know you are following your dreams. My little sister. Everyone always comes before her. I replied, "Will you watch my ceremony?" She again shakes her head. "I won't be allowed, Bubba. I am no longer part of this pack." The alpha saw to that. I have no bond. I will watch from the window, though. I promise. As I stood to leave, Mom and Dad walked in. Bastion growled deep in my chest. I stood protectively in front of my sister. Dad said, "Stand down, boy. We have only come to say our goodbyes." Aurora laughed. "Don't bother. You have never thought of me as your daughter. Saying goodbye is an empty gesture." Mom snapped, "You have always been such an ungrateful child." And Aurora laughed again. I asked, "What does she have to be grateful for, Mother? When has she ever been treated like anything more than a hired hand? Go, be with your golden child. I should say, your only child, because I have disowned you to wallow in your shame. Just as you have treated my sister, so shall I treat you." I shoved past them to attend a ceremony that held little meaning for me anymore, as I said my oath of the office I would try to uphold. I listened to my baby sister's screams of agony. After the marking of Amelia, looking out at the pack, I said, "Those agonizing screams? That is the pain of a true mate feeling her mate mark an unworthy chosen." I shifted into Bastion and ran. I need to think.
Chapter 4, Make It Right.
I walk across the stage to receive my diploma, reciting my speech in my head. I graduated, Dean's List, top of my class. As such, valedictorian is mine by right. I am proud of myself. I have achieved a myriad of accolades and achievements in my 24 months here. After I delivered my speech, I rush out to find Caleb. Finding him in a group of my friends, I run. He catches me and swings me around, kizing me all over my face. I laugh as he tells me, "I am so proud of you. You are going to do such great things." We head out to have dinner at an exclusive restaurant in town, one over from Sacred Moon, as Caleb has to return tonight. Walking in, he gives his name, and we are seated. We order drinks, and he asks, "Have you kept up with your training?" I grin and nod, "Of course. I bet I could give you a run for your money now." He chuckles and mutters something about always betting. The server takes our dinner order, and I ask, "How have things been?" Even though I am not pack, I still worry about them. With the exception of a few, the people mean a lot to me. He smiles. I know they do. Not a day goes by that someone doesn't ask about you. Luna Bridget asks every day, but she does so covertly. The pack is going to hell. You were right when you said Anderson would be a weak alpha. It's like following behind a 2-year-old, constantly cleaning up his messes. He spends a fortune in pack funds, keeping Amelia in the style she is accustomed to. Delusions of grandeur, you called it. It's just a matter of time. But tell me, which offer did you accept? I smile, very proud of all the packs and different species seeking my counsel. One in particular caught my eye, and after deliberating a good month or so, I decided to accept, and am pleased with myself. I tell him I accepted the Draconian pack. In Alaska, it's only 20 miles from Grandma's old pack. Heartsong. I am so excited. They paid me a 400 grand retainer for the next 2 years. There is a lot of cases pending. In regards to land rights, mineral rights, natural gas, as well as oil. I'm going to be a busy little puppy for a while. Gotta earn my keep. He laughed. Holy shit. When will I ever get to see you? I refused to go more than 6 months without my hugs and cuddles. I smiled. Taking his hand, I said, I will be down in the lower 48, frequently, I believe. A lot of these hearings will held at council headquarters. We can get together then. Yeah. He nodded vigorously. I can live with that. I can't tell you how very proud I am of you, Rory. You have overcome so much. Against the odds, you have healed and moved forward. I know it wasn't easy. I admire your strength. I grinned and said, You don't know how strong you can be until being strong is all you have left. I worry about Axel, Caleb. Tell him I am sorry, that he needs to be strong too. He shakes his head. My little sister. Always caring, always worried about everyone else. I love you, Peanut. You know that, right? I smiled and said, Not everyone, Bubba, you. The pack and Axel. Everyone else can kiss my ass if they can catch it flying by. He laughed and hugged me. We said our goodbyes, and he left to go home. I drove away, in search of my new tomorrow.
Caleb's POV.
I arrived home to chaos. I walked in and Amelia screamed, Where have you been? What kind of beta deserts his pack when you knew Alpha Draco is due to arrive in the morning? I shrugged. My sister graduated today, and there was no way I would miss that. For your information, everything is ready for the Alpha's visit. It's your job as Luna to make all the arrangements, as you are well aware. But nope, you like to play princess and dress up in your slutty dresses, taking all the credit as usual. You should thank the goddess for the talented and accomplished staff in the pack house. But I seriously doubt she'd listen to you. I walked into Anderson's office to find him brooding. Once again, I poured a glass of bourbon and sat across from him. I waited for him to speak. When he did, he asked where I had gone. I sighed and pinched the bridge of my nose. Anderson. For 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You have known my sister was graduating summa cum laude from university today. She was valedictorian, and no fucking way was I missing her speech. Or her big day. He sneered. Yeah, well, you have another sister who is falling apart trying to get everything done for the Alpha's visit tomorrow. She needed her big brother's help. I laughed. First of all, I only have one sister. Secondly, I don't know what bullshit smokescreen Amelia's throwing up for you, but absolutely everything for Alpha Draco's visit has been done for 3 days, Anderson. Your mate is utterly useless when it comes to arranging any event for this pack. It always falls to me. The staff. Or your mother. 2 fucking years, Anderson. and she's still utterly useless. But you can't see past your own dick to realize that. He tried snarling at me, but it came out as a whine. Your family needs you to be present, Caleb. Amelia needs to know you care. You have to get over Aurora. She isn't even a member of this pack anymore. Her life is not your business. I actually did snarl. My sister is a successful attorney, working for the Draconian pack, and she is well aware of how much I love her. I disowned Amelia and her parents when they decided my sister didn't matter. I am only beta because Aurora made me promise to be here for Axel. Not you. You're Wolf. You don't get it. You don't have a clue how destroyed she was. You didn't even care that she was in such agony. Such excruciating pain her last night in this pack that Isla nearly clawed her to death to stop the pain. So, don't give me that poor Amelia bullshit when the pair of you nearly killed my sister. He mutters, I didn't know. I thought since she rejected me, she wouldn't feel it. I swear, Caleb, I didn't know. I scoffed. Again, bullshit. You didn't accept the rejection until the next day. You did it deliberately, maliciously. You fucking knew, Anderson. Even you are not that ignorant. I stormed out and went to the study. Pouring another bourbon, I sat down and texted Aurora to make sure she had stopped for the night. She texted back and said she had and would FaceTime after her shower. I looked up as my ex-dad walked in. He asked, Son, may I speak with you? I shrugged and said, Sure, but I am Caleb. Not son, he sighed, and sat across from me. He said, Your mother and I. Okay. Allison, and I would like to know what we can do to earn your forgiveness. Our family has been fractured for 2 years, and it's destroying us. We can't continue this way. The pack is talking. I chuckle. Seriously? Fractured? That shit is fucking broken, Chansey. You ask what you can do. I doubt there's anything you can do. Can you turn back time? Can you undo the past 20 years? Accept that you gave birth to twin daughters and treat them equally? Can you erase the night I nearly lost my sister as she bled out on the floor of her room? She was no longer welcome in because her wolf didn't want to survive the loss of her mate. Get back to me when you can change the past and make it right.
Chapter 5. Choked on my own spit. Caleb's POV.
I stand on the steps on Anderson's right, while his Luna stands on his left. She's dressed in a figure-hugging neon green spandex-type dress that barely covers her ass. In 6-inch heels, Bastion sneers Luna looks more like a hooker than the queen, and I choke on my own spit. Gotta save me. We watch as Alpha Draco arrives with his entourage. He's been traveling packs, searching for his mate. We are the third in his itinerary of 8. This should be good. He stands up from the passenger side of the car. And holy hugeness, he has to be at least 6'9" and as broad as a house. Damn, not someone I want to piss off. His eyes locked onto Amelia, roaming up and down her body. Then he walked straight to us. Anderson stepped forward and said, Alpha Draco, I am Alpha Anderson Kane. My beta, Caleb Hartsong, yes, I changed my last name when Aurora did, and my mate, Amelia Griffin Kane. He shook Anderson's hand, turned to me and said, Hartsong, that's not only the name of my neighboring pack, but also the name of a young, promising attorney I recently hired to rid me of my legal woes. I smiled and nodded. Yes, my sister Aurora. You will be quite pleased with her accomplishments. He nodded back. Then he turned to Amelia. She just has to open her mouth. He's my brother too. But because Aurora was banished for being a nonconformist, he refuses to tell anyone that. She was my twin. He raises his eyebrow. Was your twin? Is she not still your twin? And what is this about banishment? Should I be concerned? Anderson clears his throat and tells him, perhaps this is something better spoken about in private. Draco HMMs and said, "Yes, after lunch, perhaps? I would like to freshen up. This is my beta Adrian and Gamma Culver." We all shook hands and Amelia tittered her way inside, offering to show them their rooms. Draco stopped her and said an Omega would serve the purpose. I nearly cracked up. This is too good. I went to the office and readied a beverage tray with bourbon, scotch, and cognac, not knowing a liquor preference for the alpha. Anderson came in and remarked, "That is a huge man. When I tell him about your sister, I will accept no interruption." I chuckled. "If you think I will sit quietly and allow you to defame Aurora, you have another think coming, Anderson. She is the only innocent party in this entire charade." He growled and said, "Maybe it's best if you sit this one out." I have no intention of telling him anything more than she refused to follow pack protocol, I snapped, which is a lie. She not only followed protocol, she followed the goddess edicts. We both know she was banished for having the balls to do what you weren't man enough to do. Fuck, Anderson. You didn't even want to accept the rejection. You wanted her to stay and be tortured every day, while you fucked a chosen. He snarled, "Get out! Get the fuck out now!" I grinned, "With pleasure, Alpha." As I closed the door, I hear all kinds of shit hitting the walls. The door, the floor. Oh, he's throwing a fit. Goody. I rounded the corner and nearly bumped into Adrian, the beta from Draco's pack. I grinned and said, "Hey, dude, want to join me for a beer?" He nodded and smiled. We grabbed our beers and sat down. I said, "I want to tell you about my sister. The reason being, I doubt my alpha will want me in his office when he tells your alpha what actually happened. We don't quite see eye to eye on the tale." Adrian grinned hugely and asked, "Is it dramatic? Please tell me it's full of drama. This trip has been so boring. I am in serious need of a little excitement." I grinned and said, "Then buckle up. It's about as dramatic as it gets." I proceeded to tell him everything, starting with how my family always treated her, to Amelia and Anderson dating, to Aurora's near death the night before she left. I finished with Anderson finally rejected her the next morning as she was getting into her Jeep to drive away. He whistled low. "Fuck, bro, that's bad. I mean, that is really bad. How the fuck you still his beta?" I shrugged. "Aurora made me promise. She told me she knew Anderson would be a weak alpha, and it would break her heart if the pack fell apart. I fear it may happen anyway." He sighs. "Yeah, that's tough. Your sister seems like a good person. I'm sorry that happened to her. Nobody should feel that pain. What was your alpha even thinking? Fuck that. How could her own family do that to her? How the fuck did you turn out normal?" I laughed. "Normal? That's a stretch. Rory gets the credit for any normalcy I exhibit. She definitely kept me sane. She's a breath of fresh air." She was. Anyway, our family has a way of sucking the air right out of a room. Their golden girl has taken up the baton in their absence. He laughed. "Yep, I can see that. She was definitely a little underdressed for a meet and greet with a visiting alpha. To be honest, I was a little shocked. Not something you see a Luna wearing on the daily for sure." I laughed uproariously. "Wait until dinner. If you think that was shocking, that was one of her more conservative outfits." He shivered. "Oh, goddess, there's something to look forward to." We talked a while longer. Adrian was a really great guy. Told him I was really happy to have met him. He grinned. "Me too, dude. We'll see more of each other. Your sister is going to be with us a while." He stood. With me. It was lunchtime, so we headed to the dining hall together. He said, "Holy shit, what is she wearing?" And I cracked up. She had on a tiny pleated skirt, platforms, and a halter top. Bastion snarks, maybe we need to pave the driveway. We need a street for her to walk in again. Choked on my own spit.
Chapter 6, I Hate You All. Draco Arconium's POV.
What a fucking waste of time. This trip has turned into. This pack. Well, this pack is just a huge disappointment. The only one here I might be even slightly interested in talking to is that beta. My only consolation at this point is I have decided to return home tomorrow. I linked my beta Adrian. The fuck are you? Having quite the teat-a-teat with the beta. He's a good guy, Draco. A little disillusioned with the alpha. I will tell you about it. Let's just get through this lunch and the rest of this fucking day. Heard the word alpha. Shut up. I met up with Adrian and beta Caleb, walking into the dining hall for lunch. I muttered, "The fuck is that woman wearing?" Caleb and Adrian both laughed, and I glanced sideways at them. Adrian shrugged. Caleb and I were just discussing the Luna's wardrobe. Looking around, I asked, "Where's Culver? Why must he be late? Every damn time. He's going to be late to his own funeral, and I'm going to revive him. Just so I can kill him." Caleb laughed again and responded, "I sent an Omega to fetch him." At that moment, Culver comes running in, his clothes askew, his hair all over the place, and Adrian says, "Oh, that's where he was," just as an Omega sneaks in behind him, going to her table. Goddess spare me, I barely get through the meal. The Luna chattering nonstop over some inconsequential bullshit about handbags and matching shoes. Like I said, barely made it, sitting here in the Alpha's office, nursing a Jameson's. I wait to hear this nonconformist banishment story. It's only Alpha Anderson, which I find odd, but choose to hold my tongue for the time being. Anderson has yet to speak on the topic I want to know about, so I cut him off. Alpha, all that is quite interesting, I'm sure, but I am more interested in the banishment of my new attorney. He clears his throat and says yes, and clears his throat again. That almost always indicates I am about to hear some bullshit that won't fly. He starts, "Aurora was born into this pack, and well, I started dating Amelia, my Luna, 5 years ago, when I came home 2 years back. From Alpha training, I had decided to take her as my chosen. The night of my ascension, which was a few hours away, Aurora disagreed with it, as Amelia wasn't my true mate, and Aurora is nothing if not conventional. She believes in the goddess's doctrine and thinks we should settle for nothing less. Her disrespect to my father was over the top, and he banished her for it. She couldn't conform to my choices and argued with my father about it. I sat there for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, maybe 45 seconds. I don't know. I asked, "That's it? That's all?" She was banished for questioning her Alpha's choice to thwart the goddess's authority. A beta-born woman was banished for expressing her opinion. Let me get this straight. Your father banished her for voicing her thoughts about you taking a chosen? Had you found your mate? Had your Luna found hers? He shook his head and said, "No, we both just decided to be each other's chosen." Okay, I'm not getting it. What am I missing? I asked again. So, the two of you decided that you would deprive 2 others the right to the other half of their souls without knowing or even caring about the damage this might cause your true mates, and you banished the twin sister for feeling the way almost everyone else feels, making her rogue? He said, "Putting it that way, it sounds bad, but it was a mutual decision, and we were satisfied with it." Adrian links me to ask where his beta is, so I ask, "Why is your beta not here?" I would like to hear his take on this. He clears his throat again, "Caleb, and I don't quite see eye to eye on this, so I volunteered to be the one to relay the information." I nod. Not sitting right. Something just doesn't mesh. Did you fight for the girl to stay? I mean, you could have lifted the banishment that same night. No. You were Alpha not even 3 hours after your father issued the order, Suo. His indignant reply was, I would never override Alpha's orders, especially my own father's, I said. I would say I see, but I don't. Not really. What I actually see is piss-poor leadership, which could have easily cost the life of your Luna's twin sister. But, okay, I will induct her into my pack and be grateful for her expertise in handling my legal affairs. I just hope what you've told me isn't a falsehood. I asked, do you mind if my men and I go for a run? Asmodeus feels the need to stretch his legs. He stood, saying, I will join you. Nodding, I growled, suit yourself. I would ask your beta joins as well. Adrian and he have made a connection. He ran a few hours, and truth be told, Sacred Moon is a beautiful territory. Unfortunately, her leaders not so much. I shifted from Asmodeus and slipped into sweats to get a shower. After dinner, we said our good nights. I had told them I wanted to get an early start in the morning. I told Adrian to bring Caleb to my rooms. I wanted to talk to him. He came in and I poured us drinks. I smiled and said, your Alpha told me the two of you didn't quite see eye to eye on the circumstances behind your sister's banishment. I would like to hear your version of the event. By the time he had finished, I felt my eyes burning and could taste smoke. Looking at him, I said, little something I don't share with many people. I am a hybrid. My other part is dragon. His name is Donog, and he's a tad pissed at the moment. Bear with me while I talk him down. Oh, and Caleb, make sure you're Alpha. His Luna, her parents and his are on the steps in the morning when I take my leave. I think you'll enjoy the follow-through, he nodded, saying good night. The next morning, Adrian waltzed through my door, asking, good times? And I grinned, great times. Let's get a little payback for the banished true Luna, shall we? I walked out the front door, noticing Caleb had done as I asked, and I shot him a wink. Anderson introduced his parents, and his Luna's parents. I was polite. I shook everyone's hands. When I got to Anderson, I said, I would say it's been a pleasure, but I'm not a liar. I stepped off the porch and started toward the cars. I stopped. Turning around, I grinned and said, oh, one more thing. Amelia, I, Draco Arconium, Alpha of Draconium Pack. King of Dragons, reject you, Amelia Griffin Kane, as my true mate, Luna and Queen. Accept it. They all stood there, gaping, while Caleb sat, holding his sides, roaring in laughter. I roared, accept it, now. She mumbled, I accept, and rejected me back. As I was getting in my car, I heard her scream, my true mate is a fucking king? I hate you all.
Chapter 7 I Met My New Boss. Aurora's POV.
I arrived at the gates of Draconium 2.5 days after the start of my journey. I was immediately escorted to the pack house, and what a magnificent house it was. All natural stone and glass, with amazing views. All sides surrounded by picturesque vistas that took my breath away. I was shown to my quarters, which was essentially a full-sized apartment, a huge living space, with a small kitchenette, a bedroom and an ensuite, and the views. Oh my goddess, the views. I showered and unpacked my luggage. I placed pictures of Caleb around my room, making me feel at home. I heard a voice say, Heart song? I looked around, confused a moment. Then I spotted an intercom system on the wall by my door. Nifty. I pushed the button, asking, yes? The voice asked if I would be coming down for dinner, or should something be sent up. I immediately said, I will come down. I don't want to be waited on. I can take care of myself. I checked my clothes, making sure I was presentable. I headed down the 4 floors to find the dining hall. I entered and all the chatter stopped. everyone turning their heads to look at me. I smiled and said, "Don't mind me. I'm just the new PAC's attorney. Please, don't let me interrupt your meal. I am Aurora Heartsong." A lovely young woman asked, "As in Heartsong PAC?" I grinned and said, "Exactly like that. That is my grandmother's PAC." She smiled and nodded. "Welcome, Aurora. My name is Naomi." I said, "Pleased to meet you," and sat down to fill my plate. Naomi moved to sit next to me and said, "It's so nice to have another woman close to my age again. Mind if I sit?" I smiled. "I would love that," she said. "I'm the PAC's lead female warrior. Do you train?" I nodded and admitted that I do and asked if she would spar with me in the morning. She clapped her hands and squealed, "Oh, I would love that." We finished dinner, and Naomi showed me my offices. I said, "I will need a couple assistants. Do you know of anyone in the PAC with a background in law?" She smiled, saying, "My mom used to be a paralegal, and I believe there is a couple people who might be interested. You can put an ad up on the job board in the lobby." I grinned. "Naomi, I believe you may have been goddess sent." Just then, she squealed again. I raised an eyebrow and waited. She says, excitedly, "The Alpha cut his trip short. They're heading home 3 months early. I wonder, he must have found his mate to be coming back so soon." Not having anything to say, I just nodded. Back in my room, I noticed the rest of my boxes had been delivered. So I unpacked everything, putting it all away. Glad to have my Keurig in pods. I do not function without morning coffee. I climbed into bed and dialed Caleb. He answered with the biggest smile I had seen in a while. "Brother, you look genuinely happy. What's got you in such a good mood?" He laughs. "My sweet peanut, all hell has broken loose, and I am truly loving every second of it. Know what they say about karma?" I nod and say, "It's a bitch." His grin widens, and he says, "Boy, howdy." Truer words were never spoken. He explained what had happened, and I was flabbergasted. Amelia had met her true mate. Then my heart went out to him. The poor man had 6 months before the last traces of the bond dissipates. I hope he is strong. It is a pain I would wish on no one. I asked Caleb where he was going. As I noticed he was walking, he put his finger to his lips as he carried his phone with him. I heard Alpha John and Chansey yell at Caleb, and I was instantly pissed. Chansey yelled, "Did you know? Did you fucking know? Your sister is heartbroken. It will take 6 months for her wounds to heal." Caleb calmly said, "I didn't know, but my sister is no longer heartbroken. She has completely healed. Whatever your daughter is going through is a direct result of your conniving ways. But my sister is just fine." John said, "You had better stay close to Anderson until Amelia pulls through this. He will need to rely on your strength for a while." Caleb laughed and said, "That's different than any other day." "How?" John snarled. "You are exactly like your sister. Get out of here with that disrespect." Chuckling, Caleb said, "Gladly, and thank you. If only more of us were like my sister." I scolded him. "Caleb, you promised." He grins at me and said, "I promised to take care of the PAC, and I am doing that. I did not promise to take care of a baby Alpha." I laughed. Telling him I love him, I hung up and crawled back into bed. There is nothing I miss about Sacred Moon. Not anymore. I was asleep within minutes. The next morning, I stepped from my rooms, dressed in a black pencil skirt, 4-inch heels, and a white button-down blouse with bouffant sleeves. My hair was pulled into a low chignon, with tendrils framing my face. My makeup consisted of winged liner, mascara, and a blush lipstick. I headed to my office and quickly typed up an ad, asking for anyone with administrative experience in the legal field. I pinned it to the job board in the lobby and headed to breakfast. Naomi waved me over, whistling. Damn girl, you make office chic sexy as hell. I'd do you. I laughed. This girl was rapidly becoming my best friend. We parted ways after setting up a spar time, and I headed to my offices. As I entered my corridor, there was a queue of maybe 10 people. The first in line was Naomi's mother. I invited her in and offered her a seat as she handed me her resume. I read it over and her credentials were impressive. I asked, "You haven't worked in nearly 4 years? A health issue?" She smiled and said, "Not mine. My mother was ill. She passed recently, and Naomi moved out. I find myself at loose ends. Empty nest syndrome, I think." I grinned and stood, shaking her hand. I said, "Welcome aboard, Connie. I look forward to working together." I went through the other applications, deciding on a man named Albert, an attorney who specialized in real property law. Happy with my team now, and it's just lunchtime. A productive morning. At lunch, Naomi introduced me to several warriors, and I felt like I was settling in nicely. Naomi said Alpha should be home by nightfall, probably around 4. And I asked, "Wait, what? That's early for nightfall." She laughed and said, "Alaska in the fall, baby." Oh, right. I went back to my office and started sifting through the lawsuits filed against the pack. 7 so far. We were being sued by the state of Alaska to run a natural gas pipeline straight through the middle of Draconium territory. Oh, hell no. I immediately drafted a stay and emailed the council to grant a continuance on the hearing scheduled for next week. I needed more time to prepare. 2 suits were property disputes, and I immediately called a surveyor out to run the parameters of the full extent of our territory. Border to border, I filed a petition with the real estate and tax offices to recognize our rights of personal property, then filed incorporation certification for PAC recognition. I glanced at the clock and realized my sparring time was rapidly approaching. Locking my office, I ran to my room. I changed into a pair of leggings and a sports bra. Yanking my chignon out, I quickly braided my hair and wrapped it in a tight bun. Asking for directions to the training center, I finally made it to the gym. Naomi grinned, asking, "Ready to get that ass handed to you?" I smirked. "Yours? Sure, show me what you got." We were pretty evenly matched. On our 4th tap out, at 2 each, I flipped over her head, wrapping my legs around her upper body, and had her in a chokehold. When I hear a deep voice, "Naomi, have you seen the new?" she tapped out, and I met my new boss.
Chapter 8. Something new for us. Draco's POV.
She's stunning. Please, goddess, don't let her be an insipid little twit like her twin. I doubt I could take 2 years of that. I walked in, seeing Naomi in a headlock and tapping out. That tells me she at least has some skills. But seeing that face every day, being reminded of my unfaithful mate every single day, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm seated at the dinner table when she walks in with Naomi. She is dressed in skinny jeans and a graphic tee that states, "I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious." And it took me a minute to understand. Funny, they're laughing, and I hear Naomi say, Yeah, double or nothing tomorrow, let it ride." Aurora laughed, "Fine. Tomorrow you'll owe me 20. She steps over to me, sticking her hand out, says, "Aurora Heart Song, Alpha Arconium. It's nice to officially meet you." Without my legs wrapped around another woman. I laughed and shook her hand. Culver said, "What? Scissors? Where was I?" She grinned. "No, headlock. And you are?" He laughs. "Gamma, Culver Muldoon." Nodding, she sat down beside Naomi, and I introduced her to Adrian. He said, "Holy fuck, you look just like your sister." Her face darkened, and she quietly said, "You're mistaken. I do not have a sister. I do, however, have a brother. We're orphans, by choice, and that is all I will say about that." She asked me, Will I be inducted into the pack, Alpha? Isla is driving me crazy to run, and I didn't allow her to. It's dangerous without a mind link. I nodded. How about we take care of that after dinner? She smiled brightly and thanked me. Adrian linked the resemblance is uncanny. If they were side by side, I couldn't tell them apart. They are very different. Her eyes light up. Her smile is genuine. Even her hair is a shade lighter. Most importantly, her personality is actually present. Amelia had none. Adrian started choking, and Aurora immediately patted him on the back, admonishing him to be careful and chew his food better. Making me laugh. Okay, maybe I can get through the next couple years. She knocks on my office door and Adrian admits her. She smiles and sits down, then says, "Fire away. I know you have questions." I shook my head. I honestly don't. I read your college transcripts, your senior thesis. You are more than qualified, in my opinion. Your brother filled us in on personal details, and only because I admit to being concerned about your banishment. When I heard, she nodded, saying, "Let me guess. Anderson painted me as a disrespectful little jit who ran rampant around the pack house, always wanting my way." Adrian barked out a laugh. "Pretty much." Again, she nodded. "Did he tell you he wanted to keep me? So Axel wouldn't weaken? He expected me to just accept he was mated to the twat. And I don't know. Let it destroy me. His father tried to command me to accept his decision and suck it up. Dumbass didn't realize he had never been able to command me to do shit my entire life." I chuckled. "No, he didn't tell me that. He didn't even tell me you were his mate. Just that you resented him for going against the goddess's edicts." She grins. "Yep, sounds about right. He likes to think he's a master at the art of deflection. I do want you to know how very sorry I am that you are going through this. The first couple months can be hell, so if you ever need to just talk, know that I will listen. In a been there, done that kind of way." She apologized. Literally feels bad for me having to face rejection. Definitely not a shallow person. I believe I will be able to see her every day and not be hurt by it. I ask, "What made you choose law?" She sat up straighter and said, "That's easy. With the integration into the human world, shifters are facing a million problems. Land encroachments, false accusations, insurance liabilities because of our strengths. I don't want to see our kind being taken advantage of. I know the ins and outs of shifters' laws, but I also know the ins and outs of human laws. If I can help it, I will not allow our species to be taken advantage of. We have the right to govern ourselves, without being on the outside of any laws." I smile at how passionate she is. So I ask, "Why didn't Amelia further her education?" She laughed. "Oh, she did. At 16, she decided she was Luna and only needed to smile and look pretty. That takes a lot of hard work." Adrian laughed again. "Yeah, I think she failed that Luna course." Aurora rolled her eyes. Still wearing her slut costumes then? She believes less is more, and all eyes should be on her. I never understood the concept, if I'm honest with myself. I said, "Let's get you inducted into the pack. Then Isla can run. Maybe Asmodeus can show you around." She smiles and said, "Sounds good to me." She swore allegiance, and I felt her bond snap into place. I linked, "Can you hear me?" She grinned and responded, "Feels good to have a link again. It's only been Caleb and I for so long." Isla is practically purring. I laughed. The image of a wolf purring is funny. I asked, "Did you want to run a bit tonight? It might do her some good to stretch it out." She nodded, saying, "Yes, please." We headed outside. I had decided to take her towards the southern border. The terrain was a little flatter and easier to maneuver in the dark. She shifted into a large silver wolf, nearly the size of a normal alpha. It's obvious she's an alpha-born beta. And Isla is beautiful. I called Asmodeus forward, and we took off running. Isla was an adorable, playful wolf, bouncing over Asmo's back and nipping his heels. She yipped and chased a snow rabbit down a hole. We reached an overlook and stopped to rest a minute. Isla began singing, a soulful sound that pulled at my soul. Then I realized she is a heart song, and this is exactly how they got their name. She sang for about 20 minutes. I heard others joining in. A grateful, happy sound. Something new for us.
Chapter 9. Hoisted by Your Own Pet Art. Aurora's POV.
It feels good having a pack link. That saying you don't know what you've got till it's gone is truer than I realized. I dressed in black dress slacks and a navy blue silk kami with a small floral print, tossing on a black blazer and heels. I was out the door for breakfast. I left my hair loose, but pulled the sides away from my face. I told everyone good morning, and Albert came over. Heart song. Council emailed that your motion for continuance has been approved. However, Moon Hollow Pack filed a grievance against us for water rights. I smiled at him. Thank you, Albert. We will take a look at the paperwork when we get in. Sit down and enjoy your breakfast for now. I sat and Adrian asked, You always dress to impress for work? I nod and grin. Are ye impressed? But yes, I do. I represent Draconium Pack now, and in the course of any day, I don't know who I may encounter. No way would I ever not be presentable. He laughed. Hells yeah, I'm impressed. You look high class, like we some important people here. Draco chuckled. Stop, Adrian. You do look beautiful, Aurora. But please, ignore my beta. I worked the morning away, filing all the necessary paperwork for the appropriate cases, until I came upon a lawsuit filed by us against a wearer of dragons, and particularly against the Alpha. Crimes against humanity. Searching through the file, there's no more information. Whoever filed it didn't follow through. I linked Draco, asking if he was busy. He said in his office and to come see him. I walked in, and he was sitting with Adrian and Culver, doing paperwork. I smiled. I am sorry to bother you. I do fear it may happen a few more times over the coming weeks while I clear my office. He looked up, grinning. This? You? Not an interruption. A pleasant reprieve. How can I help? I sat and opened a file. I need to know why we filed a crimes against humanity on one Alpha Michelson of the Lightning Weir. The room got so still, so thick with tension, I felt like I was gasping for air. He sighed. Well, as you know, I am a dragon wolf hybrid, and the Dragon King. I jumped up and loudly said, What? Wait. No, I didn't. I didn't know. Why was that pertinent information not given to me? He laughed and said, I'm sorry. I thought that had been covered in your interview. Again, I am shaking my head. No interview. I wasn't interviewed by anyone. Your proposition was handed to me, along with 22 others by the council, a week before my graduation. Adrian laughed. Damn, brother. We made the cut out of 23. That's 'cause we're just awesome like that. I curled my lip at him. It's because I was told you had close ties to a dragon weir up here. And I have always felt most discrimination is targeted toward dragons, and I wanted to help. Not because Alpha Draco is king. Shit. Draco laughs again. Deep breath, Aurora. What do you need from me? I did as he said. Took several deep breaths, actually, and asked, why was this case not pursued? And what crimes are being committed against the people? Culver punched a few keys on his laptop and turned it to me. I saw pictures of 5 different people in human form, varying degrees of wounds and bruises. Then their dragon counterparts. Culver pointed to the dragons. Look, see here, and here. At my nod, he says, Michelson abuses his people. We're talking torture, beatings, shit like that. But this, see the notches in the wings? I nod again. He continues, those injuries are not only to cause pain, they take a long time to heal, and the placement of them prevents flight. Isla growls. He hobbles his people, grounds them, so they what? Can't escape? Draco nods. I mutter Mother Fuker. Then I ask, why was the lawsuit not pursued? Adrian tells me, when the process server had gone to deliver the summons, Michelson had moved the weigher. The entire weigher of 200 just vanished. I sat back down, deflated. Are we looking? Have efforts continued to find this piece of shit? And where are these 5 people who came forward? Safe, I hope. Draco smiled at me. The 5 are indeed safe. They are members of the pack. Search teams are in the sky every day. No luck so far. The case can't move forward until Michelson is located. I looked directly into his eyes and told him, may I pursue it? With sworn testimony of the victims, I can move forward to convict in absentia. Adrian asks, what the fuck does that even mean? Absentia? I grin. I don't need a defendant in a courtroom in the face of overwhelming evidence. If the victims are willing to swear statements and testify, I can win this. Then he becomes a wanted fugitive from justice, as opposed to a person of interest. Draco leans back in his chair. What do you need? Nodding, I let him know I need to interview the victims, take their statements, transcribe them, and submit them as evidence to the council. Then we issue a blanket notice that this is going to trial. If Michelson doesn't show up at the appointed date and time of the hearing, he forfeits his right to defense. Done deal. Culver asks, and if he shows up, I reply, then I depose him, and he gives his side of the story. Either way, he would have to come out of hiding, leaving an opportunity to discover his weigher? Draco asks, how soon? We lost contact with Michelson 6 months ago. Our previous attorney told us there was nothing we could do until he was located. That didn't ring true with me. Something's not right. How long ago did your attorney leave, and what was his reason? Adrian responded. He left a little over 5 months ago. His reason was an illness in his family, and he was needed home, somewhere south. I smirked, and nobody found it suspect that this lawsuit was filed with the Shifters Commission. Michelson disappeared before he could be served, and the attorney leaves? It didn't seem too coincidental. How did the Alpha know to move his weigher? Draco leans his elbows on his desk, holding his chin. Son of a fucking bitch. That bastard betrayed us. I want him found and brought to me. Goddess damn it. Aurora, carte blanche. Do what you need, no matter the cost. We step up efforts. Find that weigher. I want those people safe. I stood up. On it, boss. For the record, I believe the threat of absentia conviction will flush Michelson out of hiding. Culver grins. Finally, I like you, girl. Your no-nonsense approach is going to make such a difference. Why can't all lawyers look like you? I asked. What? What the hell do looks have to do with it? Adrian grins and said, that's his way of getting into your pants. I laughed. Yup. Never gonna happen, Spiffy. These pants stay on until I find my second chance. So don't waste your time. I'm immune. Draco laughed and told him, hoisted by your own petard.
Chapter 10, She Was Brutal. Draco's POV.
I ordered my dragons to widen the search for Michelson, and Culver started running down the attorney Jenkins. Aurora said she doubted he gave up practicing law, so odds are we will find trace of him, unless he didn't go south, which is highly likely if he betrayed us to Michelson. Dragons hate the heat of southern climes. She told me at breakfast that she had worked diligently with the victims the last 3 days to get their statements and to coach them with their testimony. She is also filing civil lawsuits against Michelson for monetary compensation for pain and suffering. There's nothing a dragon loves more than his jewels and gold. Shiny things make us happy. Luckily, Donna balances out with a smo, so I don't feel that compulsory need to hoard any riches. I am amazed by Aurora every day. She works tirelessly for what she feels is right. Today, we are flying to the council for our first hearing on the natural gas pipeline. I have to be there, of course, because I am the owner of record, even though she has incorporated my pack. Boarding the plane, I smile at her. She looks nervous. Don't like flying? She sits down and groans. Wolves aren't meant to fly. Otherwise, we'd have wings. I take her hand and say, just hold tight to me. Maybe next time, I will just let you ride Donog's back. Her eyes lit up, and she giggled. Now, that's a flight I might enjoy. This whole 5-ton metal box being airborne doesn't sit well with me. The flight was uneventful still, though. She released a heavy breath on touchdown. I had to laugh. Next time, try a whiskey. It soothes the nerves. She smirks and bolsters an attorney's reputation in court. Oh, look, here comes the soused lawyer. I laughed at her. You're too cute. Our hearing isn't until morning. No one would know. She just grins. We got to our hotel rooms. Adrian on one side of her, and mine was on the other. Her room adjacent to mine, so we could go over what we wanted to convey to the commission. One last time. We agreed to meet downstairs for dinner, and I am stood outside her door, waiting for her to answer, after sending Adrian down to procure a table. I was dressed in a dark suit and light gray button-down shirt. I didn't bother with a tie. I serious dislike those things. She opens her door. Dressed in a silky, silvery dress that hugged her body with a flare at her hips down to her knees in a full skirt. Her hair was loose and hanging down her back, with strappy 4-inch heels, looking every inch a lady. In my infinite wisdom, the only word I could utter was, wow. She giggled and told me, stop. In the elevator, I said, I find myself so very attracted to you, but I know you are waiting for your second chance. Why is that? You were the one who rejected that jackass. I didn't think the one who did the rejecting is entitled to a second chance. She blushed and replied, if the rejection is justifiable, then yes, we get a second chance. I'm not one to play coy, although I am a little shy, but I am attracted to you as well. In 3.5 months, who knows? Your 6 months will be past, and your second chance can be found. Goddess willing, it may be me. We found Adrian and were seated, looking over the menu. Our drinks arrived, and I was surprised she had ordered a Jameson's neat. I raised a brow at her glass, and she giggled, one won't hurt. I laughed. It's actually that I am surprised. I expected a girly drink. She scoffs, oh please, I might clean up good, but a girly girl I ain't. Adrian laughed. She's a warrior dude. I shrugged. Just surprised me a little. Okay? She giggled again and said, I will keep that in mind. Surprising you will be my new endeavor. As our food arrived, we heard a loud voice yell, Peanut. Her head swiveled, looking for the keeper of that voice, with a huge smile on her face. Spotting him, she yelled, Bubba, and ran to him. I grinned at their hug as he spun her in a circle. Adrian and I stood to greet Caleb and asked him to join us. He immediately sat, stopping the server and asking for her to bring his meal to our table. They asked, why are you here? Then laughed at each other. She told him she is working. And he said, Anderson and his parents are here about a land dispute with Black Hill Pack. It's an ongoing feud that started with John's reign. Amelia and her parents are here as well. Chansey has to testify. Actually, he's the primary witness for Sacred Moon. She nods and asks, Who's minding the store while all the key employees are on holiday? He laughed again. You left that place running like a fine oiled machine, Rory. I have made sure everything you implemented has stayed in place. Goddess knows our Luna is a disaster. I asked what he meant, and he scoffed. Luna Amelia is little more than Anderson's arm candy, and more like a Sour Patch Kid, as opposed to a Ghirardelli chocolate. If you know what I mean. Aurora cracked up. Oh my goddess, Caleb, that's horrible. He just shrugged and dug into his meal. We talked and laughed over after-dinner drinks, and as we stood to leave, the entire Sacred Moon entourage passed our table. I reached my arm out and pulled Aurora into me by her waist. Yes, I was staking my claim. Amelia, dressed in a hot pink lycra bodycon dress and ridiculously high heels, sneered. Well, I'm not surprised to see you whoring around with my leftovers, sister. Aurora looked around behind her, over her shoulder. Oh, were you talking to me? I was looking for your sister. Allison snarled. Aurora rose. Why you must persist in playing such games is beyond me. Aurora laughs. That doesn't surprise me, Allison. There is a lot of things beyond you. The ability to love two daughters the same. That's beyond you. The ability to support and encourage true mate bonds. That is beyond you. Simple maternal responsibility and love. Again. Beyond you. So, comprehending why I severed familial bonds not being a game to me doesn't surprise me. It's beyond you. Chansey swung to slap her, and I grabbed his hand. Harming a member of my pack is an act of war, Griffin. Are you certain you wish to pursue this? We said good night to Caleb, and Aurora kissed Luna Bridget's cheek and shot a look at Anderson. She said, You really should keep your dog on a leash in public, Alpha Kane. Excellent parting shot. So proud of this woman. The perfect blend of confidence and sass. We walked away laughing. Adrian laughs. Damn girl. I see why you're such a good attorney. You cut that woman to shreds with words. I agreed. She was brutal. In the classiest of ways.
Chapter 11. Which one? Aurora's POV.
I was up early, showered, and had dressed in a navy blue suit jacket with pencil skirt, a white silk blouse, and navy and white blocked 3-inch heels. My hair braided and bunned at the nape of my neck. I felt Draco at the door and opened it before he knocked. He grinned, eager. Are we? I laughed. Why, yes, Alpha. I plan on dazzling them with my magic, he agreed, nodding. You're going to distract them with your beauty. They'll forget why they're there. Adrian groaned. Will you two stop? It's too early to listen to your flirty banter. I need caffeine before I decapitate someone. I laughed and took his arm. Let's hurry then. Before you're running helter-skelter through the corridors yelling off with their heads, like the Queen of Hearts. Draco followed, laughing. We walked into the council hearing room, and I groaned under my breath. I absolutely hate that all cases are heard consecutively, ours being after Sacred Moon. Yet we all have to sit through every case. It's council edict, trying to teach every alpha in attendance how the laws operate. Sacred Moon lost the dispute, having to return nearly 1,000 acres to Black Hills, not because they were in the wrong, simply because their attorney is incompetent. By the time Draconium was called, I was past ready, since we were the defendants and American Gas was the plaintiffs. They presented their case first. As they finished, I stood, proving the carbon footprint the pipeline would leave upon the earth, the detriment to the wildlife, air quality, and the amount of time it would take to recover would far outweigh the positives of a shorter-distanced pipeline. The council asked the plaintiff. They wanted rebuttal. Their attorney stood and said, the pipeline will allow more than 1 million people a more economical way to heat and cool their homes, to heat water or prepare meals. We can guarantee the damage left would be minimal. I then said, minimal? To whom? You would have to remove over 20,000 acres of trees, depriving birds, insects, and squirrels of their natural habitat, you would churn the earth into mush, disturbing rabbit hutches, natural wolves' dens, groundhogs, prairie dogs, chipmunks, mice, and other creatures, making them virtually homeless. Then you face gas leaks, allowing massive forest fires should a spark catch. The astronomical costs to recover from that would come from where, if you are willing to compensate the billions of dollars it would take, I might be able to persuade my client to reconsider. Would you humanely trap all the wildlife and relocate them at your expense to guarantee they would not unduly suffer? If so, it would behoove me to discuss that alternative with the landowner. I sat back down, and we waited. I held Adrian and Draco's hands in my own, offering a silent prayer to the goddess. Lead councilman announced, 10 minutes later, continued construction of American gas pipeline through Draconium territory is denied. This council cannot, in good conscience, allow the earth to be so disturbed. I breathed a sigh of relief. The owner of the pipeline jumped up and yelled, "This is bullshit. This hearing was a farce, prejudiced and geared toward shifter justice, and I will appeal in human court." I smiled and said, "Please do. I will defeat you there as well." It's idiotic to believe human courts will overturn a council verdict. Inconceivable that they would entertain the notion. Our treaties state that shifters have the right to govern ourselves. We are a country within a country, gentlemen. And for the record, shifters' justice, we are adhering to our laws. Otherwise, as shifters, we would have just killed you and be done with it. Stop being a sore loser. The day was finally over, and we were joining Caleb for dinner. I dressed accordingly in a deep red shift dress and black shawl with matching black heels. I piled my hair on top of my head in a messy bun and loose tendrils. We met Caleb just as Anderson and his party walked in to be seated. Adrian asked, "Doesn't that woman own any real clothes? How can Kane not be embarrassed by that blatant display of vulgarity?" And I cracked up, "Damn ads, tell us how you really feel." He shivered his whole body in disgust, making me laugh again. Amelia did look like a hooker, though. Another neon-colored dress with deep décolletage. I whispered, "I hope she taped her boobs in place, or there's going to be a nip slip in her soup." Caleb roared in laughter. "Nip slip? Oh my goddess, Rory, that's priceless." Draco whispered into my ear, "Thank you for always dressing with such classic taste. You are elegant and exotic, all at the same time." I shrugged. It is always possible to look decent and sexy at the same time. Amelia has ever been an attention whore. She likes eyes on her all the time. Caleb grins and says, "Yeah, that works for a moment." I see every man turn to eyeball her. Then they all turn away with a "what the fuck" expression. Adrian laughed and high-fived my brother. I admonished him, "Cal, that is still your Luna. She doesn't deserve to be talked about by her beta." He grinned again and said, "No, baby sister. You are my Luna. She is a poor substitute. She's Anderson's Luna. Even the pack go behind her back to do exactly what she tells them not to. She's a joke." I sighed, so disappointed in her. She had 3 years lessons in Luna etiquette. What the fuck was she doing? 6 hours a day, 4 days a week? Chewing on pencils? Is this a result of lead poisoning? Draco spit his drink out his nose, choking on laughter, and said, "Oh goddess, I'm sorry for laughing, because I know you're being serious. But that was some funny shit." As we walked out of the restaurant, Amelia came over and asked, "Aurora, can I talk to you a minute?" I rolled my eyes, muttering, "Here we go," and I stepped off to the side. Not so far that she couldn't be heard, though. She whined, "I know you hate me because Anderson and I fell in love, and that deprived you of your true mate. But to make Mama and Daddy suffer is just you being childish. You need to grow up and stop trying to get back at me by fuking my true mate. That's low, even for you. I started laughing, really hard. Oh, you're being serious right now. I don't hate you for falling in love, dumbass. I hate you for fuking my mate, knowing the pain I would endure without his rejection. I heard you that night, Amelia, laughing, saying, "Take that, Aurora," at the top of your lungs. That was truly vicious, and spoke to the type of bully you had become. Your parents knew. Your parents condoned it. If not for my brother and Luna Bridget, I would have died, and every last one of you knew it. That's why I hate you. You're all heartless, soulless, and you will have to answer to the moon goddess for your crimes. I turned around, pulling Isla forward. I let her summon Axel. Axel, forgive your human. I couldn't live with you withering away because of his stupidity. Regain your strength and find your pride. Your pack needs you. Be the alpha I know you can be. Show your human you are better than this. I am sorry for your pain. You really are a special wolf. I hugged Caleb, looked back at Amelia, and she said, "Go near my mate again, and I will end you." I laughed and asked, "Which one?"
Chapter 12. When can we do it again? Draco's POV.
The monotony of the past 2 weeks are getting to me. We have been unsuccessful in locating either Johnston or Michelson. Aurora ran a check on Johnson's practical license, and it's still valid. Only in Alaska. She believes he is still in Alaska. Just has no active cases as of right now. My phone rang, and I immediately answered. A female voice asked, "Draco, can we talk?" I had a sinking feeling in my gut. I linked Aurora to please grab Adrian and get to my office. I asked, "Who is this? Who gave you leave to use my given name?" "This is Alpha Arconium. State your business." As I put the call in speaker, Adrian came in, followed by Aurora. The voice giggles, making me want to gag. And she says, "You know who this is, silly. It's your mate." Again? Gag? I replied, "You're most definitely delusional. I am waiting for my mate, and it's definitely not you." She whines, "Don't be like that. I made a teensy mistake, but I'm ready to forget about it." I look at Aurora, and she puts her finger over her lips. Grabbing Adrian's phone, she sets it to record, then calls Caleb after she texted him not to talk. I said, "Oh, is this Amelia?" She giggles and says, "Of course, silly. Who else would be your mate?" And I replied, "Anyone." "But you? I rejected you. You aren't worthy of being my mate. Why are you calling me anyway? And how did you get my number?" She whined again. "I have decided to forgive you and accept you. This isn't where I belong." I laughed and told her, "Nope. You are exactly where you belong. Where is Anderson? Put your mate on the phone. I want to talk to him." She snarls, "Anderson is Aurora's mate. All I hear is how he should have accepted Aurora. Why am I not more like Aurora? Why am I a bimbo? Why do I act like this? Why can't I be a lady like Aurora? Aurora, Aurora, Aurora. Everyone wonders why we all hate Aurora. Well, that's why. I am trying not to laugh. What's why? You didn't give a single reason why anyone would dislike Aurora. Are you drunk?" Now, Aurora is trying not to laugh. Amelia snaps. "No, asshole. I'm not drunk. I called you to let you know I'm coming to your pack. You are my mate, and we are going to do exactly as the goddess said. We are mating." Before I threatened her life. Because I will definitely kill her if she ever showed up on my territory. I hear Anderson in the background. "What are you doing, Leah? Who the fuck are you talking to?" And she lied. Literally. Lied. "It's Draco," he called, and I answered your phone on accident. "He wants to talk to you." Now, I really am laughing. Anderson asked, "Draco, how can I help you?" I responded angrily, "I didn't call you, Anderson. That bitch called me. And I am only saying this once, if she shows up in my territory. If she dares approach my gates, her life is forfeit. She will die here. Keep your trash home. I hung up as I hear Aurora say, "Good thinking, Bubba. Hold on. I'm texting you the recording of the call." She took Adrian's phone and texted the recording. Caleb said, "I love you, Peanut. I gotta run damage control. Call you later." Aurora said bye and looked at me, her eyes sparkling with mirth. How do you accidentally answer a phone? Is that like accidentally fuking someone's mate? We all cracked up. This girl. After lunch, I asked Aurora if she wanted to run, and she blushed and said, "I have been wondering if I could maybe meet Donna. I have been imagining riding him." And she blushed deeper. I mean, on his back. When he flies. Not ride him. I chuckled. She is just too frickin' cute. I whispered, "Are you having naughty thoughts, sweet cheeks? Because, I gotta tell ya, I've been imagining you riding me, and I'm not shy about it." She slammed her head down on the table and bounced it a couple times, saying, "Damn it. Now I got a dirty movie playing in my head," making me laugh out loud. I said, "Dress warm, it's colder in the sky." She slipped on her snow boots and her parka. I grabbed her hand and led her to the only open field we had, large enough to hold our shifted dragons. I stripped and called Donna forth. He burst forth in a shimmer of incandescent scales that glimmered in the waning sunlight. He shook his enormous body as he stretched to his entire length. Aurora walked straight up to him, no hesitation or fear in her posture, and scratched his forehead between his eyes. She whispered, "You're magnificent, as handsome as Asmodeus, such a stately king." And she curtsied. "Damn, this girl is doing something to me." Donna purred into her hands and nudged her tummy. She giggled and rubbed his head again. I linked her to climb on, while he dropped his wing for her to use as a step. She climbed up and settled between his shoulder blades, just behind his massive neck. I told her to hold on to his horns, and as she did, he leaped into the air and soared towards the sky. Aurora squealed. Then she giggled, holding tight. We circled pack territory for an hour. Then he took off for the mountains that overlooked the pack house. She giggled again, then laughed out loud. Donna took her to the peak and landed. She climbed down and flung her tiny arms around his huge neck. She whispered, "Best adventure of my life, Donna. Thank you, thank you, thank you." She pulled back and kissed him all over his massive face, and he pulled her into his neck with his head, holding her to him. Yep, the dragon is in love. She climbed back on, and we descended back to the clearing. Once I was dressed, she flung herself into my arms, little tears in her eyes. She whispered, "This will always be one of my favorite memories. My imagination could never imagine something so fantastically magnificent. Thank you, Draco." I held her tightly and said, "It was our greatest honor. Donna has never let anyone ride his back before. Yet he's already asking when we can do it again."
Chapter 13. Finally, I can move forward. Aurora's POV.
I have nearly completed my documentation to file the lawsuits against Michelson. It's taken 2 months of hard work and long hours. I want to take this asshole down. Draco has been an absolute wonder, helping organize depositions, arranging testimony. I keep telling him it's my job, and he keeps telling me the sooner we file, the sooner we can save the dragons. I have been on pins and needles this last week. It's been nearly 6 months since Draco rejected Amelia. She's been calling him at ungodly hours, nearly every day. Anderson finally locked her up 3 days ago. Bitch gone crazy. Isla is running nearly every day. She's antsy and anxious. I'm annoyed with her because I have to struggle to concentrate. I think she's secretly smoking crack. I don't sleep. She paces in my head all night. She carries on conversations with Asmodeus at all hours. I keep reminding her Draco may not be our second chance, trying to prepare her if he isn't. She doesn't care. I get it. I do. I know I have fallen in love with him, but I would never stand in the way of his second chance. I will even help him find her if it isn't us. But Isla is having none of it. I walk into my office and call Connie in. She's smiling and asks what I need. I tell her, I need you to type up our proposal for filing charges against Michelson to be ready to email to the council in the morning. Her grin widens. My day just got a whole lot better and went off to handle that. Culver knocks on my door and I smile. What can I do for you, Culver? He grins. I was wondering if you wanted to spar with me. I've noticed your need to burn energy and thought it might help. I squeal and jump up. Let me change real quick and I'll meet you in the gym. Racing up the stairs, I round a corner and bump straight into a wall. Landed on my ass. Fuck, that hurt. I stand up, rubbing my butt, and turn to walk more sedately to my room. When I hear a deep rumbling chuckle, I whip around and Draco is standing there, and my intelligent ass says, I thought you were a wall. He busted out laughing. Nope, last I checked, all man. I nodded and mumbled out an I'm sorry. Then thought, and what a man. He's still laughing and said, think out loud much? Oh, kill me now, damn it. I ran for my room. I met Culver in the gym, and we sparred for over an hour. I was sitting on the bench, leaned back and sipping water. Draco came in with Adrian and started sparring. The man was sheer poetry in motion. What is wrong with me? Ugh, he must have felt eyes on him, because he glanced in my direction, which was enough for Adrian to clock him a good one. He asked, distracted Alpha? And he laughed, and without taking his eyes off me, he punched Adrian in the nose. Oh, fuck, Draco laughed again. Not that distracted, Beta. I laughed at them both. You guys are too much. See ya later. Time for my shower. I walk out. Hearing, ag, thanks for the visual. Fuck. I had just slipped on jeans and a t-shirt that said, only trust people who like big butts, they cannot lie, and went down to dinner. Everyone started laughing and Naomi said, Goddess damn it. Now it's stuck in my head, making all of us laugh again. I sat down beside her and asked, girls' night? I need some me and you time. She nods and says, Netflix and chill. I shook my head. No, you're not my type for chillin', bitch. She laughed and said, fine, Netflix and wine. Nodding, I said, bet. She came in my room with 2 big bottles of wine and climbed into my bed. Okay, spill. What's going on? I poured us each a good-sized glass and sat down beside her. I'm in love with Draco. She snorts. Duh, everyone knows that. We also know he's in love with you. What's the prob, Bob? I moaned. What if he isn't my second chance mate? I'd have to leave. I won't take that away from whoever the lucky girl is. It was done to me, and I was devastated. I won't do that to someone else. She hugged me close. Oh, honey, you are too good for this planet. Let's get drunk and forget for a while. Sounds like a plan to me. 2 hours later found us creeping downstairs to get more wine. I said, SHHH, we're gonna get caught. It's your fault we ran out. She giggled. No, that would be you. I only drank 3 glasses. I shook my head and said, yeah, me too. She disagreed and said I had 6. 6? PSSHH? Why wouldn't I remember that? A deep voice behind us said, are you ladies sneaking into the wine fridge? I snapped SHH hish. Draco will hear you. And Naomi busted out laughing. Great. We are for sure getting caught now. She pointed over my shoulders and said, he already did. I turn around and sure enough, there that big guy stood. I said, Naomi drank all the wine. She said, "Damn, did y'all see that bus?" And we both cracked up laughing. This morning at breakfast, I am miserable. I have taken headache medicine, drank 3 glasses of water, wearing sunglasses and my eyelashes still hurt. Naomi sits down and said, "Damn, bestie, you look like shit." I said shhhh, which made her laugh again. Seriously, why she gotta be so loud? Culver asked. Rough night? I tried to nod, but stopped, in fear of my head rolling off my shoulders and ending up in someone's plate. Draco tells him Aurora had 1 glass of wine too many, it seems. Naomi laughed and told everyone more like 3 too many, but who's counting? I snarked. Apparently, you, causing them all to laugh again. By noon, I was feeling better and had sent the email to council. They wanted to see me before they proceeded. I went to find Draco to let him know I was headed to council. He asked who I was taking with me, and I agreed to take Culver with us. And my team, along with Culver, left within the hour. Once in chambers, I handed them copies of the testimonials from the victims, whom they kept referring to as witnesses. Set them straight on that, right away. Councilman Thompson was a stickler, and so old school he had to walk uphill both ways to attend. Had a grudge against me. Women weren't supposed to be in a courtroom, and I should leave all this for the men to handle. He's going to be an issue, he asked. This matter is more of an internal one. The Dragon King should be handling this in-house. I looked at him a hard minute. King Draconium was not king at the time of these crimes. The former king was aware, but chose to sweep the issues under the rug. We have chosen to expose this form of torture as discipline, for the world to see. It is no longer allowed, as the new king has completely outlawed this practice. This case was first brought to the council's attention nearly a year ago. But since the court summons was considered undeliverable, the complaint was ignored, much like the former king had done. As a newly formed council, the situation should have been pursued, not forgotten. As soon as a court date has been established, a blanket notice will go out to all existing wear so that Michelson has the opportunity to respond. I stood to leave and was told to be back in the morning, and a decision will have been made. Finally, I can move forward.
Chapter 14, Culver already did. Draco's POV.
Adrian and I have been scouting the mountains to the east of our pack. A tip came in about Johnston, supposedly living in a cabin outside a little hamlet buried between 2 peaks. Once we had found the cabin, it was empty, only by a couple days, meaning whoever was staying here knew we were coming. We believe we may have a traitor in our midst. I am irate, and will find out who it is. We have been out in the wilderness for 3 days, completely incommunicado, and the frustration I am experiencing right now is through the roof. I shifted into Donna, carrying Adrian on my back, just not in the mood to run home on all 4s. We reached home in the early morning hours, and I was so exhausted, I barely made it through a shower before I passed out. I slept until well past 10 and felt hungover. I had just slipped into jeans and a sweatshirt when Adrian linked me to come downstairs. I could hear yelling and then a slap. I rushed forward to find Chancey Griffin and John Kane standing in my foyer, but I also found a scent of gardenia and spring honey. She turned to face me, her eyes full of tears, and a red handprint on her cheek. Donna and Asmodeus pushed forward, and I roared, rushing to Aurora and pulling her into my arms. Who dare lay hands on my mate? John Kane growled. Your mate? I don't think so. She is returning to Sacred Moon and taking her place as Luna. I punched him square in the jaw. I snarled, listen to me. Listen carefully and hear me well. Aurora and I are second chance mates. A moment ruined by you assholes. You have your Luna. If you are dissatisfied now, that is on you. Leave my pack. Do not return. The only member of Sacred Moon welcome here is my mate's only family member. Only her brother will have contact with her. If I ever see either of you, or your daughter, your only child, again, I will not hesitate to kill you all. Which one of you lay hands on her?" I touched her cheek. Neither man answered. I asked gently, "Who, baby?" She whispered, "John." I snarled, "Which hand did you hit her with?" He chose not to respond, so I grabbed him and snapped first his right wrist, then his left. I looked at Adrian and said, "Throw out the trash," and lifted Aurora in my arms, bringing her to my office. I sat down, with her in my lap. I quietly asked, "What happened?" She smirks. "I honestly have no idea. I had just walked out from my office and John grabbed me, pulling me toward the door. He said I was coming home, and I informed him I was home. He slapped me. Then my superhero rescued me." She smiled up at me so beautifully and whispered, "We're mates. My prayers were answered. My wish came true. I love you so much. I was terrified I would have to leave you." I leaned down and touched my lips to hers, and knew in that moment everything in my life had led me to her. Right here, and I thanked the goddess a million times. We ended the kiss, and I said, "I am so in love with you. I was prepared to ask you to choose me. To love me? I didn't care about a second chance. I didn't want one if it wasn't you. I, Alpha Draco Draconium, King of Dragons, accept you, Aurora Rose Heartsong, as my mate, my Luna, and my queen." She smiled back at me and repeated her acceptance. When our bond snapped into place, it stole my breath at the strength of it. She felt it too, because her tiny body shook with the force of it. I said, "We're mates, goddess baby. You have made me the happiest man on earth." Adrian knocked and walked right in. We both looked at him, with what I am certain was the silliest grins ever. He laughed. "Well, hello, Luna." She blushed adorably. Culver crashed through the door and yelled, "Gamma has his Luna," grabbed her off my lap and danced around the room, with her giggling, and I fell in love again. He handed her back and sat down. I looked at Adrian and asked, "How did those assholes get in?" He was already shaking his head. "Dude, I have no idea. I was alerted to an alpha at the border, requesting an audience. So I went down to head out there. But an Omega had already let them in the house. I was already grabbing for that dick when he raised his hand, but I wasn't fast enough." I looked at Culver to speak, and he said, "Both border guards are on their way in to see you. I immediately sent out replacements so they could get in here. The Omega is in the hall, awaiting interview." I nodded and said, "Let her in." Adrian offered her a seat, and I said, "Alice, is it?" At her nod, I continued, "Why were those men allowed entry?" She gasped. "I would never, Alpha. We heard the door knocker, and Cook told me to get the door because she's expecting a delivery. Just figured it was a new driver, and he wasn't told to go around back. As soon as I opened it, they pushed past me and started yelling for Miss Aurora. I didn't even have time to get out of the way. I dismissed her. Poor girl was scared to death. I asked Aurora to call her brother, and she did. As soon as he answered, I asked, "Caleb, what the fuck is going on over there?" He asked me what I meant, so I told him what had happened. He growled, "Are you shitting me?" I was told they had both gone to arrange an alliance over at Black Hills. Aurora said, "Did Anderson know what those assholes were up to? Isn't he still mated to Amelia?" "I don't understand," Caleb responded. "He and Amelia are on a second honeymoon to straighten out their bullshit. They left this morning. He never said a word to me about his dad. I could ask Bridget, but I doubt she knows anything. And Allison wouldn't tell me shit anyway." I told him. "I broke both of John's wrists and threw them out. Sacred Moon is no longer a concern of ours. You are the only one welcome here. And that will be in 2 weeks. For your sister's Luna ceremony and coronation. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Then he said, "Wait, is she? Are you? Your mates? Second chance mates?" We told him yes, and he started laughing. He said, "Karma, I am in love with that bitch. Oh my goddess, this is pure gold." But we hung up, and Aurora left to find Naomi and Connie to get started on a plan for her ceremony. I am so excited and happy. I want to dance a jig. Culver already did.
Chapter 15 I Was Now a Queen. Aurora's POV.
Everything was in place for the ceremony to make me Luna, and to say I was excited would be an understatement. My dress was a simple ivory satin, with a fitted bodice with a sweetheart neckline and cap sleeves. It had a slit from the floor up to the top of my thigh. Connie did my hair, pulling it into a Viking-style do. She had 6 thick French braids at the sides and top, twisted into a single braid that resembled a dragon's tail. I wore no jewelry, and my feet were bare. Caleb had arrived the night before and was waiting to walk me down the aisle. I smiled and said, "Did they give you a difficult time when you asked to come?" He laughed. "Oh, sure, but I didn't ask them. I told them I was coming." Amelia did the whole meltdown thing, accusing me of betraying the family. And the pack? I laughed as I walked out the door. I sighed and said, "You know, I don't hate them anymore. Actually, I pity them. They will never know the joy of grandchildren from us. I can only pray this has taught Amelia some kind of family values. I doubt it, but I always pray for them." Caleb groans, "Enough, just enough, Peanut. Don't spare another thought for people who mistreated you so badly. This is your day, and I want to see nothing but smiles on that beautiful face. Besides, there's a surprise waiting for you downstairs, so let's head that way." We walked out, and I took his elbow as he led the way. At the foot of the stairs, I saw Luna Bridget. She was smiling, with tears in her eyes. I hurried to her, and she folded me into her arms, whispering, "You look beautiful. I have missed you so much. In my heart, you will always be my daughter. I couldn't miss your big day." I smiled and said, "I am so happy you're here. I miss you every day." I turned to take Caleb's arm, only to find him staring at the double doors. Naomi stood frozen, staring back. I hear them both whisper, "Mate," and I squeaked in happiness. Oh my goddess, my 2 favorite people in the world, besides Draco. He hurried to her and yanked her into his arms. He told her, "I have waited for you so long." I hugged them both, telling them how happy I am. Then I asked, "Shall we hold your ceremony today? You both are already beautiful." The matriarch of Sacred Moon is in attendance as witness, and I certainly don't mind. I would be thrilled. Caleb dropped to one knee and said, "Naomi," and I linked her last name to him. He cleared his throat. "Naomi Watson, head warrior of Draconium, will you do me the honor of being my mate, for now and always?" She smiled and replied, "I absolutely will accept you, Caleb Heartsong. It is my deepest honor." I had linked Draco to tell him the news, and he was excited. As soon as the doors opened, and I saw my magnificent man on the stage in the ballroom, every coherent thought had fled my brain. Caleb walked me down the aisle. Naomi had walked in front of me, as my mate's maid, and she was practically bouncing on her feet now, waiting for Caleb to get there. Our pack elder performed our mating ceremony, and I spoke my vows. We clasped bloodied palms together and marked each other. I felt the connection to our people deep in my soul. The bond before now was a simple connection, unlike now. Now, an invisible tether attached each pack member to my heart. Draco performed Caleb's and Naomi's mating ceremony, then looked out over our pack. The coronation will happen in 2 hours. For now, we feast. And everyone adjourned to the dining hall. Caleb and Naomi were noticeably absent, and Draco chuckled. That's going to be us in a few hours. I plan on sequestering you for a few days. I have waited a lifetime for you. For this, for us, I will not rush a single second. I raced upstairs to change into my coronation gown. It was deep purple with gold embroidery, the colors of the kingdom. This ceremony has me even more nervous, as it is televised for the world to see. The kings and queens of other species are going to be in attendance. This dress had a square neckline with long bell sleeves, a full flared skirt that required a hoop slip, and a shoulder train that trailed behind me for close to 6 feet. Apparently, becoming queen is all about the pomp and circumstance. This time, when Caleb appeared to escort me, he was dressed in black tuxedo, purple bow tie, and a royal sash from his left shoulder to right hip. I grinned. My, don't you look dashing, Bubba? He laughed. Yeah, calling me Bubba makes me feel dashing. The ballroom had been transformed. The royal colors abounded. An aisle runner in deep purple paved our path. The flowers had been altered to include violet orchids amid the gardenias. The windows draped in gold and purple. Draco stood atop the dais in front of 2 thrones, carved and cast from solid marble and gold, with deep purple tufted seat and back. He wore the traditional uniform of the king, a deep purple tuxedo jacket that matched my dress, epaulets in gold, black slacks, and a gold sash emblazoned with the symbol of the Dragon King. Atop his head sat a massive crown, gold encrusted with amethysts and diamonds. A more handsome man has never existed. When I stood before him, he spoke, in a deeper voice than I had heard from him before, and knew it was my Dana, the king of dragons. Will you, Aurora Rose Heartsong Arconium, solemnly promise and swear to govern and nurture the peoples of the Draconium Empire, according to the respective laws and customs of our realm, to uphold, protect, and defend all dragon within our realm? I knelt in front of him, and in a clear, concise voice, I responded, I do solemnly swear to the utmost of my power, love, protect, and defend my peoples from all harm, both foreign and domestic. I will maintain and preserve inviolably the doctrines and edicts of worship, discipline, and government thereof, as instructed by our most sovereign goddess, Selene, Mother of the Moon. He placed a heavy crown on my head and lifted me from my knees. Turning to the crowd, for the first time ever, I give you Queen Aurora Arconium, our blessed and true Queen of Dragons. He pulled me in close and whispered, I am so sorry, my dearest love. This one is going to hurt. As he sunk Dana's saber teeth into the opposite side of my neck, Asmodeus on my left. And damn me, he was right. The pain went deep. It felt as if my blood was on fire, and I could feel my skin burning, radiating outward, across my chest and down my upper arm to the back on my shoulder. He pulled back, smiling at me, and kissed me. He said, Dana is most pleased. No other queen has ever had such an intricate mark. The burning I had felt was from his venom tattooing my skin. With the mark of the dragon, I was now a queen.
Chapter 16. The Bully Being Bullied. Caleb's POV.
Arriving home, John rushed toward Bridget, and my mate stepped instinctually in front of her to protect her, and John demanded, Out of my way, woman. Naomi, not intimidated at all, stated, No, as long as you pose a threat, I will remain. He screeched, Who the fuck do you think you are? She smiled benignly and stated succinctly, I am the beta female of Sacred Moon. I will protect the Luna Mother from any and all threats. And my chest swelled with pride. John said, I am her mate. Again, Naomi smiled and told him, And you pose a threat. I apologize if you are feeling butthurt. I will not apologize for doing my job. Bridget laughed and said, "It's fine, Naomi. I will take it from here." She walked away, laughing louder with John following after, yelling and berating her. I swung Naomi in a circle, laughed. "Oh, my love, this is going to be fun." We walked into Anderson's office. I introduced Naomi to him and Amelia. Naomi had promised Rory to be on her best behavior and to try to get along with Amelia. She sat down across from Amelia and smiled. "You really do look so much like Aurora." And in true Amelia fashion, she snapped, "She looks like me. I am the oldest." Naomi maintains her smile and says, "Yes, you certainly are, Luna. By a whole minute and 37 seconds. I am well versed on your family history and dynamic." Amelia screamed, "Oh, I'm sure you are. And all the negativity Aurora spouts. I can't help she is just a spiteful bitch." Naomi took a deep breath and responded, "Actually, I haven't ever heard anything negative about you. The Queen has only said she feels sorry for you and prays for your happiness. I didn't mean to convey your birth was in any way a negative thing." Amelia stormed out saying, "I will never accept this. This interloper as my beta. Caleb, you will get rid of it." I laughed and said, "Naomi, now my love, you have been introduced to the real Amelia, all her true colors blazing." I turned to Anderson. "And you, Anderson? Will you demand I get rid of my goddess-given mate as well?" He groaned. "Must you, Caleb? Of course I would not ask such a thing. We will, however, have to figure a way for your mate to work with Amelia." I sneered, "Naomi? My mate's name is Naomi, and she has to figure out nothing. She is a beta-born Schulf. With all the training that title ensures, Amelia will be the one to find a way to work with her. I will not expose my mate to her poisonous vitriol on a daily basis. Get your mate in line, Anderson." I lifted my beautiful mate and said, "Time to get you to myself, gorgeous. Let them sort themselves out." "I couldn't care less." She giggled and said, "I think that went well, don't you?" making me laugh. At dinner, I introduced Naomi to the pack, and she grinned. "I look forward to getting to know each of you. Feel free to come to me with any questions, anything I can help you with," and took her seat to my right, at the head of our table with Anderson and Amelia. Amelia snarls, "I told you to get rid of it, Caleb." I smile at her, shaking me head. Poor Amelia. If you knew anything whatsoever about true goddess-given mates, you would understand. Once we accepted each other, it made it virtually impossible for us to tolerate rejection. It would kill one, or both of us. I fear that far exceeds your level of intelligence, however." She screeched, "She is my sworn enemy, the best friend of your ungrateful sister. I will not tolerate her presence in my home." I roared, "My sister is the most grateful, thankful person I have ever known. She is kind, thoughtful, forgiving, and loving. All the qualities you lack, she was blessed with tenfold. I will not have this argument play on repeat. And Anderson, take your fucking mate in hand, or start looking for another beta. I am done with her greedy selfishness. The heartlessness she displays to everyone in this pack. I had hoped, no, prayed she would outgrow this ridiculous sense of self-entitlement. She is selfish, spineless, spiteful, and vindictive. If her hatefulness toward my mate continues, I will not prevent Naomi from beating her ass. Right before I walk away from Sacred Moon forever, and the Griffin legacy of Beta will die." Luna Bridget stood and began a slow clap. Then the pack followed suit, until the applause increased in speed and crescendo. Until Anderson roared, "Enough. Your Luna will cease this nonsense, and she will be attending the Luna Academy in Capital City for 3 months. I apologize for what should have been your welcome dinner. I would like to schedule your beta ceremony for tomorrow evening before Amelia departs." Naomi spoke softly, I appreciate that, Alpha. I would apologize for my part in tonight's disruption, but that would feel like I was apologizing for my own existence. That I will not do. He nodded at her and sat back down. Allison said, Naomi, welcome to Sacred Moon. It pleases me that my son has found such an articulate mate. Naomi simply lowered her head at the recognition, and I knew it was because she was struggling to hold her tongue, causing me to grin. We were walking to our room when Amelia stepped in front of Naomi and asked, How's it feel to know you are not wanted here? Naomi laughed and sarcastically replied, Oh, I'm not only wanted here, I am needed here. But do tell me, Luna, how's it feel to be the most hated person in the pack? I laughed all the way to our room. Priceless. My mate won't take any shit from Amelia. And maybe that's exactly what she needs. The bully being bullied.
Chapter 17, Who Would Have Thought? Third-person POV.
Draco and Aurora arrived at their honeymoon chalet on a secluded mountainside 100 miles east of Sitka. He carried her over the threshold and seated her in front of the warm fireplace while he retrieved their luggage. He walked over and tells her, Why don't you freshen up? I will fix us some snacks. Would you like a drink? She HMM'd and suggested something warm and ran up the stairs. She opened her suitcase and removed the black peignoir set she had secretly bought for this special night. After a quick shower, she slipped the sheer lace gown on and overlaid it with a silk robe, brushed her waist-length silver hair, and left it loose. Walking barefoot down the staircase, she paused 3 steps from the bottom as Draco turned to greet her. His eyes raked her entire visage from head to toe and back again. As his eyes met hers, I am such a lucky man. My love, you are breathtaking. So much more than my imagination allowed. I love you so much, my moon. He lifted her, carrying her to a bed he had made in front of the fireplace. He divested himself of his clothing and laid beside her, pulling a warm fur-lined duvet over them both. Slowly, he began kissing her, his hands and lips roaming her entire body, bringing her to completion with his mouth and hands, so her body was fully prepared for his penetration. She was a moaning, gasping mess when he lined himself up at her entrance. He whispered, Are you ready, love? I know it will hurt, and I hate that for you. She smiled at him through her haze and nodded, telling him, I have been ready. I have imagined this night, dreamed of it. For a long time, the pain is nothing to the pleasure you bring me. He pushed into her slowly, allowing her to stretch and accommodate his size. Backing off a little when he met her resistance, he plunged in all at once, gritting his teeth and forcing himself to be still until her body acclimated to his size. He whispered, I am sorry, as he kissed her face, nose, eyelids, catching the tear that had escaped. Once she moved her hips against him, he began thrusting slowly in and out, increasing his pace. Finally finding a common rhythm, he brought them both to climax as she yelled out his name in sheer ecstasy. He followed right behind, roaring out his release. They spent 3 days in complete and utter bliss, making love again and again. Draco couldn't get enough of his beautiful, captivating mate. The evening before they were scheduled to return to the real world found them in the hot tub on the back deck. A light snow was falling, but the warmth of the water kept them comfortable. Aurora sighs. Are you sure we can't stay here forever? It has been such an idyllic and beautiful 3 days. I find I don't want to give it up. He grins and tells her, I vow to you, my solemn promise, we will return here every year on our anniversary for 3 days and relive our moments together. She smiled at him. I can get on board with that. It will give me something to always look forward to. The next morning, they headed home and Draco asked, Is the blanket notice ready to be emailed? She nodded and said, I had finished drafting it the day before our ceremonies. It was set on a schedule to go out about an hour ago. Looking at her watch, she pulled her email up on her phone. Right on time. By the time we arrive home, I should have responses from the alphas. Hopefully, one of them has contact information on Michelson. Things are going to get messy from here on out. My case is rock solid, and I have all the testimonies aligned. I provided depositions to the council. They were all on board, except Old Man Thompson. He has it in for me, mostly because I am a shoe-wolf, but also because I don't tolerate his misogynistic bullshit. Draco laughed. That's my girl. Have I told you how proud of you I am? All 7 lawsuits we were facing. I despaired thinking we would lose, but you just kept pulling rabbits out of hats at every turn. Having our territory surveyed by council-approved surveyors was absolute genius. I love you, baby, more than I can ever put into words. Aurora smiled and said, You make me proud every day. You lead our people with a kind, firm hand, treating them equally, caring enough about each one individually, and working to help them overcome any problems they have. They are so lucky to have such a fair, just leader. I am more than lucky, though. I am blessed. I love you. More. Every day. They arrived home and Culver ran to Aurora. Thank goddess you're back. Adrian has been a pain in my ass. The paperwork. Luna. The paperwork I have been forced to complete. I have writer's cramp, carpal tunnel, tennis elbow. He is a vicious torturer of the highest caliber. Make him stop now. I need a vacation. Draco started laughing. What the fuck, Culver? Paperwork is your responsibility. There couldn't have been that much. When did you become such a drama queen? He shrugged. Gamma's job is to protect his Luna. You took my job away. For 3 days, Draco. 3 whole days. And Adrian made me do the work of 2 men. Adrian walks up, shaking his head. Thank goddess you're home. This wine ass has not shut his pee hole since you left. I need a vacation. This time, Aurora laughed. The 2 of you are more alike than you realize. Now, straighten up, or Draco and I are leaving again. At dinner, Aurora asked Connie if she had heard from Naomi. And Connie said, Oh, goddess Luna, that woman nearly caused my Naomi to beat her to death. It's calmer there today, though. The Alpha sent Amelia to Luna Academy for 3 months. Aurora sputtered, What? They are only just now sending her? Oh, that's funny. I hope it helps her. But I fear she is too set in her ways for classes to help. I pray I am wrong. Draco led Aurora to her seat and prepared her plate. He forked a bite of pasta and fed it to her, allowing everyone else to begin their meal. She whispered, I am not entirely comfortable with this particular tradition. It makes me feel entitled, and it's not a nice feeling. He grinned and kissed her temple. I am totally comfortable with it, and it makes me feel like I am taking care of my mate. Please indulge me in this one thing, she smiled and told him, my big, bad dragon king is a big softy. Who would have thought?
Chapter 18. Wish I had some popcorn. Aurora's POV.
It's been 3 weeks since the notification went out to all the Ware Alphas. Of the 20 emails I sent, only 13 had responded, all in the negative of having any contact with Michelson. The trial is due to commence in the morning, and I was only informed today of the council's decision to appoint legal representation for him. I was notified I had to turn over all evidence to one Squire Reynolds for review. In the interest of full disclosure, I am beyond pissed. Not because he has representation, because the council deliberately drug their heels in appointing someone. I am sure Councilman Thompson is behind it, but my hands are tied. Connie, Albert, and I scrambled to get everything together, but we did it. Full disclosure, as ordered, didn't make me any less pissed, Draco, and I walked into the hearing chambers 20 minutes ahead of schedule so I can set everything up. Connie sits beside me while all 5 victims sat in the back with Draco. An elderly man walked in and introduced himself as Reynolds, apologizing for the late evidentiary requests. He was only told of the appointment yesterday. I wonder what the council is really up to with this tactic. Once council was seated, we were asked to give opening statements. As the plaintiffs, I was to begin. I stood and walked to the front of the room, surprised to see a full house. All the Weyer alphas and betas were in attendance. Curiouser and curiouser, I began, esteemed counsel, I intend to prove crimes against humanity, perpetrated over a period of many years, far and beyond the time such practices had been outlawed. Alpha Ernest Michelson of Lightning Weyer deliberately and blatantly ignored the law, and disregarded the edict that all disciplinary torture was to cease. Charges were filed by this very council over a year ago, but before Michelson could be served notice, he was obviously warned and absconded. Searches for him have been futile, therefore, I move he be tried in absentia. And I sat down. Reynolds stood. In what I assumed would be rebuttal, a ruckus exploded outside the doors, and a man pushed through. Councilman, I am Squire Andrew Jenkins, legal representative of Alpha Ernest Michelson, and I request a continuance of this trial until such a time as agreed upon by the courts. I have had no time to go over the evidence or to depose the witnesses. I stood immediately. I object. It has been 21 days since the blanket notice was filed. The allotted time for answering response is 20 days, and Alpha Michelson couldn't be reached. Where is he now? Why has he not appeared before you? He has court-appointed counsel ready to move on this hearing. Reynolds cleared his throat and said, in actuality, I was about to request continuance as well. I haven't had enough time to wade through the evidence as yet either. I notice a smirk on Thompson's face, and all the pieces started falling into place. I mind-linked Draco and told him to watch Thompson. He gave an imperceptible nod. Councilman Andrews said, at this new development, a continuance will be granted for a period of 10 days. This court will reconvene on that date at 9 a.m. I stood again. With all due respect, councilman, will Squire Jenkins produce his client in person on that date, or do we proceed in absentia? And Thompson said, Squire Heartsong, don't put the cart before the horse. I am afraid we are in a wait-and-see situation as it stands. Draco stood to his feet and said, my mate is more polite than I am. Michelson will appear, or I will remove your authority in this case by inciting the rights of species monarchy, and will try him in the courts of my kingdom. Are we understood, gentlemen? All of them responded with, yes, King Arconium, and we left the courtroom. I thought I was pissed. Nope. My mate is literally breathing out smoke, which lets everyone know Donna is breathing fire. They all knew they were about to fuck up. Big time. We went to have lunch in the diner next to the Capitol building. I was rubbing Draco's back to calm him down when a shadow crossed our table. Looking up, I internally groaned. Amelia sneered. I see you just had to have my mate. Had to get back at me, like you always do. You really are pathetic, you know. I smiled and said, Luna lessons are going well, I see. And just so you know, that was what is known as sarcasm. I didn't have to have anything. I actually rejected your mate 3 years ago. My mate was blessed to me by the goddess after the 6-month repression of his former bond had expired. Her nasally voice was grating on me as she said, you have always been jealous of me. Everyone treats me better. Knows I'm prettier. Every man I meet wants me, and you hated that. So, you did the one thing you knew would get back at me. You took what is mine. She reached to touch Draco. He jerked his arm away and snarled, never touch me. You have got to be the most basic slut I have ever seen. Aurora is eons above you in every way. She saved herself for her mate. She is the purest woman I have ever known. In heart, mind, body, and soul. I doubt you have any part of you that is. I smell at least 4 men on you right now. Your poor mate sent you here to be a Luna. Not even a better Luna, just a Luna with manners. And you are obviously fuking your way through your courses. I will be informing your alpha of how well you are educating yourself. Now leave, skank, before you taint our meal. She turned and ran from the diner, while everyone in there busted out laughing. I'm flabbergasted. I knew what she was doing. But damn, my dude called her on it. Holy shit, he leaned over, breathing in my scent. And I felt him calming down. He said, "She almost touched me. I was afraid my arm would fall off." And that's what broke me. I laughed so hard I snorted. We enjoyed our burgers and fries and sent our people home on the plane. I had to stay for an appointment tomorrow with Jenkins, and Draco wants to talk to him anyway. Back in our suite, I took a shower and slipped on some comfy sweats. When I came out of our bedroom, Draco was just getting off the phone. I called Adrian to let him know of today's fiasco, and then I spoke to Caleb and Anderson. They are driving up. Should be here in an hour or so. Amelia's parents are being dragged along. Should make for an interesting evening. I grinned and hugged him. Just gonna enjoy the fireworks. I actually do feel a little bad for Anderson. But calm see calm saw. Pues Sarah, wish I had some popcorn.
Important note.
To all our listeners, if you've been swept away by the captivating tale and are enjoying the journey, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Additionally, for those who prefer reading over listening, you can subscribe to our Book Lover Aficionado package on Patreon for just $10 a month, where you'll have access to both listen and read options. Your donations mean the world to us and help us bring even more thrilling stories to life. Find the Patreon link in the description below and become a part of our storytelling community today.
Chapter 19. Put it on my tab. Draco's POV.
It was a little over an hour before I heard a knock at the door. I opened it with a finger to my lips. I whispered to Naomi that Aurora was napping. I man-hugged Caleb and shook the hands of the others. I poured the 4 of us guys a Jameson, a large one for Anderson, offering one to Allison, to which she screwed her nose up at me. A thoroughly unpleasant woman. I see where Amelia gets it. Aurora and Naomi joined us, and Aurora climbed into my lap. I whispered, "Did the meds help your migraine?" She shook her head no, and snuggled into me. Caleb asked, "She still gets those?" She used to get them so bad sometimes when she was little, I would rock her to sleep. I nodded and said, "We believe them to be stress-related, and today was a cornucopia of stress for her." Allison said, "Why do you lie, Caleb? She never had a sick day in her life? I would know." Caleb snarled at her and said, "How the fuck would you know? Your head was so far up Amelia's ass you wouldn't have known if Aurora was dying." Aurora said, "Caleb, don't argue. That was the past. There is no changing some things. Just be an Elsa." He laughed and sang, "Let it go, let it go." She nodded at him. Then she looked at Anderson and spoke softly. "I want to tell you I really am sorry. No one deserves what's happening." "My girl, a heart as pure as the driven snow," I said. "I have gotten the room code for the keypad on Amelia's door. If you'd like, we can head over there now. I'm sorry, Anderson. But surely you had to have known the type of person you mated. A tiger doesn't change their stripes." He nodded, looking miserable. Allison said, "What are you talking about? Amelia has always done her best to be a good girl. She is loving, compassionate. You do not know my daughter." And Draco lost his temper. He snapped, "Hold your tongue, you infernal woman. You know nothing of the woman you praise so highly. I imagine she is how she is as a direct result of what you've taught her, which makes you as bad as she is." Utter one more word out of that mouth. One more word and I will shut it for you. We all walked quietly, thank goddess, down the corridor to Amelia's suite. I punched in the 5-digit code and pushed the door open. Stepping into the apartment, we could hear the sounds of what we knew was happening. I slowly pushed the bedroom door open, and once we were all inside, I hit the light switch. As naked as the day she was born, the little skank was perched upon some guy's one-eyed Pete, going to town. Her mother was the first to say anything, of course. "Amelia, get clothes on. What are you doing?" And Caleb snickered. "She's riding the baloney pony. Good goddess Allison, are you so old you've forgotten?" She swung to slap him and Naomi grabbed her wrist, shaking her head no. Anderson walked out and sat down at the table. He hadn't spoken a word since they arrived. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. But he needed to know. Where he goes from here is strictly his call. Caleb walked over to him and said, "Whatever you decide, buddy, I got your back." Chansey and Allison sat on the sofa, while Naomi and Aurora stood by the front door. I leaned against the kitchen counter. The man came out of the room and walked past all of us, with his head down, straight out the front door. Amelia was taking her time, and I knew she was trying to think of a way to lie her way around this mess she's created. When she emerged, it was shrieking, walking straight to Aurora. "You fucking bitch. You had to call my mate and tattle, didn't you? You backstabbing pathetic." And Aurora throat punched her, snarling, "Enough. You pitiful excuse of a woman. You had a good man. You ruined him. I bet if I checked your handbag, I would find his balls. Nothing you have is ever good enough. You are a curse. Everything and everyone around you pays a price. You destroy everything you touch, you malicious, sickening piece of shit. Get off the floor. And beg. Beg like you never have before. And pray. Goddess knows you need religion. Pray your mate finds a way to forgive you. Because Goddess knows he should throw you out like the trash you are." She whirled on Naomi and said, "Come on, sister. I need a fucking drink," and walked out. Me? Well, I'm stood here so full of pride I can barely stand still. But note to self, never piss my Luna off, Anderson said. I want to hear your reasons. When you speak, do so without raising your voice. If you do, I will slap you. Do not blame anyone else. I will slap you. Do not make pitiful excuses or lie. If you do, I will slap you. Now, sit your ass down. Caleb, will you pour me a drink? I gotta hand it to him. He seems calm. Not sure I would be, but to each his own. Caleb poured everyone a drink, even Allison this time. Amelia sat down at the table across from Anderson. She started to say, "Andy, it was just once. It was an accident. I didn't mean it." Slap, he asked. What did I just say? It was not just once. This is not the first time. And it is not possible to fuck on accident, dumbass. She snarled, Fine. You don't have sex with me. What? Once a week? That's not enough. How was that enough? You sent me to this stupid place to learn stupid shit? I already know. It's boring. Anderson grinned. You already know? I don't think you do. You don't know how to nurture the pack, how to be compassionate, to offer comfort. What you do know is how to bully, throw tantrums, and spend money we don't have on shit you don't need. Because Goddess knows if Amelia doesn't have the tightest, brightest, shortest, sheerest dress known to man, or the highest heels in every color with matching handbags, then everybody in the pack pays for it. By you belittling them, insulting them, punishing them, and bullying them. So, start explaining yourself before I do decide to reject and banish you. She whimpered, Mama, make it stop. You and Daddy know I'm not like that. Please, make him listen like you used to. Chansey said. All I feel in this moment, Amelia, is shame. This was an eye-opener for me. I have been blind. Listening to you and your mother cost me my other 2 children, and all I feel is shame in myself for allowing it to happen. Allison snaps. Chansey, you can't turn on your daughter now. Not when she needs us most, he said. Shut up, Allison. She's proven time and again she needs no one. She just wants. She wanted her sister's mate, so she set out to get him. When she thought her sister was with her true mate, she decided she wanted him. The only 4 people who saw through her bullshit were Bridget, our son and daughter, and her true mate. We have raised her to be the monster she is, and I am ashamed of that, and of her. He stood up and asked me if there was a bar in this place. He felt a good drunk coming on, so I told him where to go and put it on my tab.
Chapter 20. Get this show on the road. Caleb's POV.
I looked at the girl. Her face is the only thing identical to Aurora's. Nothing else. I can't help but wonder where everything went wrong with her. No one is born bad, but for the life of me, I just don't know. I asked, Amelia, can you tell me when you started resenting Aurora? I remember. The 2 of you were glued at the hip. You used to complete each other's sentences. I never saw one without the other. Then it changed. Why? She glared at me. You should remember the lamp, Allison gasped, and I asked what? Allison said, you were 7. The girls were 3. The antique lamp got broken. Amelia said her sister did it. When we asked Aurora, she said she didn't. I thought she was lying, and I punished her for lying. I gritted my teeth. Oh, I remember now. You didn't punish Aurora. You beat her bloody. A 3-year-old. You beat her, then you locked her in her closet. When I told you that Amelia had broken it, and you beat the wrong kid. You slapped me, and I told Amelia that day that she could never count on me for anything. She lied, and you believed her, so you set the pattern. Amelia snarled. Yeah, so I learned that only Mama had my back, that I couldn't count on you. And it was because of Aurora. Draco said, what sort of convoluted way of thinking is that? You lied. You got your sister beaten. Your brother stopped believing in you. All of that was your fault. Aurora has every right to hate you. My goddess, you are this way because you lied. Another thought occurred to me. Oh my goddess, you knew Aurora had a crush on Anderson when she was 15, didn't you? That's why you chased him. You took him away from her. Because you are jealous of her. You want to be her. You fucking need some serious therapy. This goes way beyond good twin, bad twin stereotypes. And you, Allison, you need therapy. You groomed Amelia in your image, that selfishness. The judgmental way you evaluate a perceived opponent. The see what you want and just take it mentality. That's all you. Anderson said, speculation this late in the game is useless. I have made my decision. This is how things will be from now on. Amelia, you will remain my mate. You will be Luna in name only. The actual running of the pack house will fall to my mother and Naomi. You will have 2 female guards on you at all times. There will never be another opportunity for you to cheat on me. I will only fuck you. Literally. Until I have an heir. If I want to take a mistress, I will. Now, pack your bags. You return tonight. No point in allowing you to stay here. You either can't learn, or you won't. I look at Draco and his eyes are as wide as mine feel. Anderson found his balls, apparently. He looked at me and said, she is to move into the Luna's quarters when we get home. And I need Naomi to choose 2 warriors from the Shulves. Amelia is no longer allowed free range of the pack. She can't be trusted. He turned to Allison and said, if you dare to disrespect me, if you try to circumvent my authority, you will move into one of the cottages at the border. I'm done. I'm tired of mollycoddling the pair of you. I will never walk on eggshells in my own home again. You've accused me of being weak. For the last time. I mind-linked Naomi to come back to Amelia's room. The shit just hit the fan. Draco walked over and poured another drink for Anderson and himself, and sat down across from him. He quietly asked, Anderson, make sure you are certain about this. You deserve to be happy. I just don't want to see you regret your decisions. He shook his head. I'm not sure. It's what I got right now. You have no idea how many decisions I have regretted the last 3 years. But I am certain it is time for me to be the alpha my pack needs. The one they deserve. Oh, and Caleb? All Amelia's clothes? Get rid of them. I will be ordering her wardrobe from now on. Naomi and Aurora walked in, and Rory's little nose was red. I asked, Are you drunk? She shook her head no, and said, Yes. Draco laughed and said, Come here, baby. And she crawled into his lap. He said, The world got too big for you today, huh? She nodded. He is such a large man. She literally looks like a kid in his lap. He said, She isn't good with getting angry. It hurts her heart, and she's always sad afterwards. We learned that a while back. After John slapped her, she huddles into small places to make her world smaller so she can cope. Anderson said, What? When did Dad slap her? I sighed and told him about what he tried doing, and he got mad. He growled, Seems like my father, and I will have a talk as well, Aurora. I never apologized to you for all the pain I caused you. I really am sorry. She shrugged. Just be better. Sacred Moon needs an alpha who can be present. Be there for them. An alpha they can respect. Right now, that isn't you. Phew. Drunk Aurora doesn't hide her words. Amelia came out with her suitcases and asked, What's she doing back here? Hasn't she done enough? Anderson said, Amelia, best learn to curb your tongue. I will no longer tolerate your insolence. It didn't matter. Aurora was softly snoring against her mate's chest. Draco stood and said, Time to tuck my queen into bed. Anderson, we will discuss an alliance. Call me next week. He walked out the door, and Naomi chuckled. I love that girl. Wait until Draco sees their suite. She ranted and raved. Through things. 5 times I had to stop her from coming back here and stomping a mud hole in Amelia's ass. Drunk Rory is my spirit animal. I laughed and said, Good thing you stopped her. She would have hurt Amelia. Naomi nodded and said, Don't I know it? I lost over $100 betting she couldn't kick my ass. She could. She did. And I was head warrior. I whispered, I will let you beat my ass. Anytime, baby. She grinned and kized me. I said, Let's grab Chansey out of the bar. Get this show on the road.
Chapter 21 At All Cost. Aurora's POV.
Here we are, back at the Capitol building. I sit with Connie and Albert, both this time. Draco brought 20 warriors with us as well. He said he wasn't taking any chances. Jenkins walked in, without Michelson, and I think he will make a grand entrance if he shows at all. Once again, I gave an opening statement, and then Jenkins stood to begin his introductory speech. Gentlemen, we are here today on rumors, speculation, and conjecture. The witnesses' testimonials are simply fabrications made by disgruntled pack members, trying to bring down an alpha who has done nothing but provide and care for his people. This trial is a travesty of justice, and as such, I move all charges against my client be dismissed. The trial went on for several hours. My victims testified. Jenkins cross-examined them. I entered photographs and the sworn depositions into evidence. In closing arguments, Jenkins brought pressure to bear that I had failed to prove my case by failing to provide actual eyewitness accounts of what was done to the victims. That while they had sustained severe injuries, There was still no one that could corroborate that Mokwelson had indeed been the one to either order the punishment or conduct it himself. When the council delivered their decision, it was Thompson who stood to tell us, in light of the lack of actual eyewitness testimony to Alpha Michelson being the actual perpetrator of these crimes, the council's decision is to not indict at this time. Charges are dismissed without prejudice at this time, pending further investigation. The bastard smirked. He literally smirked at me, knowing I will file an appeal, and knowing full well the testimony of a victim far outweighs testimony of an eyewitness. They lived it. They don't need the testimony of someone who watched it happen. Draco stepped forward and said, "I will be heard. Jenkins, you will be taken into custody as soon as you leave this courtroom. As you never renounced your pact bond, you are still a member of Draconium. You are accused of treason against the pack and against the monarchy. Thompson, I know you had this rigged from the beginning. Your computers and files are being seized as we speak. If I find you are complicit, if I find you have accepted bribes of monetary gain, your position on the council will be rescinded. If it is found that you betrayed the Draconium kingdom, you will be tried by our laws. Michelson is guilty of crimes against humanity. You know it. And more importantly, you know I know it. Therefore, when Michelson is located, and I will find him, make no mistake, he will be tried in the Dragon Kingdom of the realm. Gentlemen, you fuked up today. As you are well aware, I pray none of the rest of you are complicit." We walked out to a bevy of reporters, all firing questions at Draco, accusing him of abusing his privilege of rank, trying to get a comment. The warriors surrounded us and pushed through the throng. Once we were on the plane, I smiled. You were awesome, in a kick-ass, take-names kind of way. Right now, though, we have to get ahead of this media frenzy. There's nothing like a juicy scandal to have humans circling the water like a school of sharks. He grinned. I love the way you talk, all prim and proper English, with profanity on the side. My lady freak. It's fantastic. Tell you what, we will air a statement to the masses as soon as we land. I will have Adrian set it up. I may be able to piss Michelson off enough to have him come to me. I laughed at him. You really are my bad boy king. I adore how you fight for our people, for the pain they endured. You fight the physical fight, my love. I will fight on paper, unless it does get physical. Then, I'm not opposed to fighting by your side. Deplaning, we saw Adrian had a podium set up, with the media waiting for Draco. As soon as they saw us, cameras were flashing. Questions were fired in as rapid, as staccato as a machine gun. He never said a word, just walked directly to the podium, stopping in front of the microphone. He spoke precisely. Allow me to speak. I will take questions afterwards. He waited for the cacophony to die down, patiently. He reached for my hand, and I stepped directly to his side. I am sure you are all wondering why I removed authority from the Council of Species. It's quite simple in reality. I had warned them at a previous hearing. The charges against Alpha Michelson were dismissed out of hand. The council sided with opposing counsel, citing a lack of eyewitnesses. My counsel provided a multitude of eyewitness accounts in the form of the victims themselves. Now I ask you, who better to recount the events in question than the victims? Are they not the ones to tell the details of what happened? How can they not be considered an eyewitness to their own torture and abuse? Therefore, I did not abuse my position of power, my rank, by deciding to try this case in my own kingdom, by my personal counsel and advisors. These are charges against a dragon alpha, against both the human counterpart and the dragon shifter. The charges will be amended to crimes against dragon shifters, making them perfectly legal in both human and species courts. Any questions? There was a series of cue and a fired back and forth, to which Draco responded to with graceful aplomb. He smiled the entire time, exhibiting patience and poise. We walked away to a very satisfied media. We arrived home right at dinner time, and the entire pack greeted their alpha with applause and cheers. My heart swelled with pride to see the love and appreciation they felt for him, the confidence they all had in him to always fight the good fight, to protect and defend them at all costs.
Chapter 22, So Be It. Somewhere high atop Denali.
Ernest Michelson was pacing around the fire inside the cave. He turned to Jerry, his beta. Has there been any word from Jenkins? Jerry sighed. None, Ernie. Nothing yesterday. Or this morning. And no word 5 minutes ago when you asked. I expect Alvin and Dirk back any time. I sent them out last night to track him. We will know something soon. Michelson roared. It's Draco? I know it is. The time is coming to end him. Like my father before me. Ending his father. He's becoming a nuisance. A shadow passed the cave opening, alerting them to the arrival of the two men earlier discussed. Alvin immediately approached. Alpha, Jenkins has been arrested for treason against the Crown Pack and the King. It was determined he was the source of information in regard to the previous summons to appear for you. Michelson cursed loudly. Fuck! That ignorant old fool. I told him not to desert the pack. We needed the information he was providing. Do we still have anyone inside the pack we can tap to provide it? Jerry said, the Omega, Amber. Her mother is still here. We can extort information from her. Boo threatening her mother's life? Michelson turned to Dirk. Imprison the mother? Beat her and hobble her dragon. Then get word to Amber. Send pictures. Let her know I'm not playing. I need to know what's going on. Jenkins is a lost cause. He's going to be executed. There is no doubt. Draco doesn't play. Jerry said, we need a plan. You have to let her know what information you need from her. Last I had heard, she was just a scullery maid. Unless she's moved up in rank. Michelson said, I don't give a fuck if they're using her for a breeder. All I want is to know his defenses, his border patrol schedules, the size of his militia. I want to know what weapons he uses, how many dragons he has in his arsenal. I don't give a fuck how many wolves he has. They're no match for a dragon. I know Draco, and I know he will defend an aerial attack against all odds. Being the king, he knows full well how to drop us from the sky. Jerry said, our only hope will be the element of surprise. What if we abduct his queen? I am sure that would bring him to his knees. Michelson roared, are you that ignorant? He has waited a long time for his mate. Taking her will ignite a firestorm we couldn't possibly counteract. It wouldn't weaken him. It would fill him with a terrible resolve. Get in contact with our 7 allied weighers. See who is willing to fight with us. Alvin said, I have a man ready to make contact with Amber as soon as the pictures are ready. Maybe force the mother to write her daughter a letter, begging her to save her. A little added insurance. Michelson nodded. Good idea. That may be just the ticket needed to assure the girl does as she's told. She won't do it voluntarily, I have no doubt. I think I will be the one to do the convincing. What's the mother's name? Jerry responded, Gloria Alpha. She's not a strong dragon. Was used as a breeder back in the day. Amber is one of the 5 who escaped. She is also slated to testify against you. She has a very real animosity and drive for revenge against us. Michelson shrugged. I don't give a shit about that. When we attack, she dies for betraying me. It's that simple. Her testimony is a moot point now. Gloria was brought to the cave landing, and Michelson commanded her to shift, calling her dragon forth. She was small, with dull brownish-red scales, a sign of an omega. Michelson brought forth the whip. Each of the 9 strands, dipped in silver, with treble hooks tied to the ends. He lashed her wings 10 times. She passed out from the pain and was awakened with a bucket of water. Once he was satisfied with the pictures, she was ordered back to human form and chained at a table. He instructed her to write a letter, begging for her life. Every time she refused, she was punched or cut, until she finally conceded and wrote a letter. He told her exactly what to say and how to say it. She did as he said, but what he didn't know was she and her daughter had played a game Amber's entire life. They had made up an entire code of carefully worded phrases and terms that only they knew and understood. Michelson read the blood-smeared letter, satisfied that she wrote enough to convince her daughter to aid in betraying Draco at the cost of her mother's life, should she fail. He ordered Gloria locked away until such a time as he had the assurance of Amber's help. The letter, once decoded, said nothing of the sort. Gloria didn't ask her daughter to sacrifice her honor to save her mother's life. It was quite the opposite. Gloria smiled as they dragged her away, safe in the knowledge her daughter would do the right thing, and if she died because of it, it would be the goddess's will. So be it.
Chapter 23. Want to Chase Fireflies. Draco's POV.
I ordered the trial of Jenkins to be held immediately. It was strictly for appearances, to make an example of him. By law, I could have simply listed his crimes in tribunal and executed him. But since the shifters went public, human eyes are always watching. I am watching my beautiful mate sparring with Culver. I am always amazed by her fighting style. She is lethal, deadly even, but she's so graceful it appears she's dancing. I glance to my left, noticing one of our housemaids approaching. She looks sullen and afraid. I dislike that. Then I realize she is one of our new members, a victim of Michelson's heinous attack. She moved closer to me, keeping distance, and asked softly, "Alpha, would it be possible to meet with you and Luna today? It is imperative I speak with you." I checked my watch, seeing it is nearly lunchtime. I tell her, "Come to my office today at 3. I have an appointment at 1, and I am not sure how long it will run." She nodded and turned to walk away. I asked, "Amber, whatever it is, we will figure it out. I appreciate you coming to me." Again, she nodded and left. Aurora bounced over to me and asked what that was about, and I shrugged. She grinned and said, "I'm going to grab a shower. Are you too busy?" It took a second. Circled around my head a few times before registering. Busy? For shower time with me, mate? Not a chance. I would ghost 100 meals or meetings for that opportunity, and took off chasing her, watching her cute ass as she ran away, giggling. The 4 of us are in my office, discussing the execution of Jenkins this evening, when a knock sounded. Adrian opened the door to Amber, and I offered her a seat. Aurora took her hand and sat down beside her, offering comfort. My perfect Luna, always aware of the needs of our people. She spoke quietly, soothingly to Amber, allowing her time to relax. Then Amber spoke. "I have to report something that happened to me this morning. Cook had sent me and another housemaid to town to pick up a delivery of meat from the butcher's. His truck had broken down, and Cook was worried the buffalo meat wouldn't keep. The housemaid I was with had an errand at the post office to send the documents for Luna for Sacred Moon, and I waited by the truck." She paused, and Aurora poured her some water. I noticed her hands were shaking, and she held a packet of some sort in her lap. Taking a deep breath, she said, "I was approached by a man, a dragon shifter. He handed me this packet, telling me I had better do as I am told, and that he will be in touch. In this packet are photos of my mother. She has been tortured, brutalized. She looks barely alive." She began to cry, while Aurora hugged her tightly, whispering softly. She coughed slightly and continued, "There is also a letter. in my mother's handwriting, instructing me to procure patrol schedules, itemized directions in relation to our defenses, as well as the extent of our military. I am to list our weaponry, arsenal, and methodology in warfare. I asked to see the letter. She nodded and handed it to me. I read it and said, "I see," but she was shaking her head. "No, Alpha, you don't. What you see is what they forced her to write. What you don't see is that the letter is written in such a way only I would comprehend. Since I was a little girl, my mother and I played a game. We created a code as a way of extending my vocabulary. If you will allow me, I will read what she actually wrote." Ingenious, actually. I am impressed. I handed the letter back, and she began to read the code. "Dear daughter, regardless of what you read here, decipher the true meaning. I am being held hostage by Alpha Michelson. He hopes to blackmail you into betraying our king. Under no circumstances do you entertain that notion. Go immediately to King Draco. Tell him Michelson is planning a coup. We have 300 active warrior dragons. Michelson is contacting his 7 allies for more troops. As of this moment, our pack is holed up in a cave on Denali of the Alaskan Range. I have been injured, but I refuse to allow this man do what his father did. If I die, then it is the will of our goddess, and know that I will be at peace in the arms of my mate once more. I love you, Amber. We always fight the good fight. I am blown away. This brave woman risked her life to warn us. I looked at Amber and told her, here is what we are going to do. You will relay information to this dragon. It will just be false information. Adrian, print out the old border patrol schedules from 3 years ago. We have increased our patrols by 200 since then. Give her a copy of our munitions equipment from 5 years back, when we had geared up for the demon campaigns. The militia rosters we had when the Dark Elves attacked. That should be a show of good faith, and enough to keep her mother alive, while we prepare for war. Aurora thanked Amber for her dedication and loyalty, telling her we will do everything possible to save her mother. After she left, Aurora grabbed her tablet. Typing in a few words, I watched and asked, "Anything I can help with?" She muttered, "I'll let you know." Adrian left to get the paperwork together for Amber. While I finished the paperwork I had started earlier in the day, Culver went back to the training field. Everyone had a task. An hour later, Aurora looked up from the tablet. "All right?" I ordered dried mistletoe and crushed blue oleander. I need one more ingredient. I was so confused. "What are you doing?" She grinned, devilishly. "Making bombs you have to figure out how to launch. It's capable of putting a dragon to sleep, which means our people will need to ingest the antidote before the battle. I'm missing one ingredient, however. No one seems to stock it." I shuddered. "How do you know this?" She grinned again. "O ye of little faith," I read. "A lot. But about that last ingredient. I'm missing Fatini's SP. Want to chase fireflies."
Chapter 24. It's a boy. Aurora's POV.
I have enlisted the help of Culver and Adrian to chase fireflies with us. I made all 3 wear gloves, though. The toxicity of these little insects could knock Donna and Culver's dragon. Pete, yes. His dragon is Pete the dragon. I laugh every time I say it out for several hours. Adrian and I are immune. Wolves don't care, Culver says. "It's chilly. How long do we have to stay out here?" I groaned. "Damn it, Culver. You asked that 10 minutes ago. I need at least 200 of these friendly little guys. Your flavor of the week can wait a couple hours for your particular brand of entertainment." Adrian laughed and asked, "What's her name, Culver?" He shrugged, thinking. Bethany? No, that's not it. Brittany. Tiffany. That's it. Tiffany. Draco laughed. "How the fuck did you get a B name from Tiffany?" Hanging his head, he said, sheepishly, The bee girl was on Saturday. I shook my head. Goddess, your libido is off the rails. Dragons are horny devils. It took several hours last night, but I feel we have enough. This morning, Caleb called with an update on Amelia. It seems she has tried to ditch her guards, but Naomi caught her. He said it seems like she isn't even trying to atone for the shit she pulled at the academy. Anderson has locked her in her room, and now the threat of being rejected and banished is a very real thing. He told her she is on her third strike, Draco said. I am actually beginning to think that's what she wants. One more thing she will find a way to blame you for. I laughed. I couldn't care less. If she's blaming me, she's leaving somebody else alone. I only wish I understood her. It's a shame. Adrian came in to join us, Draco. The mortar tubes you ordered arrived this afternoon. I'd like to test them out, but I don't want to use live rounds. I said potatoes, and Culver said cats. Draco looked at both of us like we'd lost our minds. I laughed. Culver Danvers, you are not launching cats out a mortar tube, he said. What? No, I thought we were playing word association. You said potatoes? The first thing that popped into my head was cats. Duh. I asked him, what is living in your brain? I say potatoes and your mind jumps to cats? The fuck is wrong with you? Adrian said, the two of you are weird as fuck. I laughed again, Culver's lunacy notwithstanding. I was talking about launching potatoes. No big boom, harmless. Unlike cats, dude. Draco hadn't stopped laughing. He pulled me into his lap and said, never a dull moment. I love you. Let's go launch some potatoes. At dinner, Culver was still groaning. Adrian told him, suck it up, Buttercup. How was I supposed to know it would hurt that bad? Culver whined. What would even make you think launching a potato at me? That shit hurt. Couldn't breathe for 10 minutes, bro. Draco laughed and told him, after dinner, you can launch one at him if that will shut you up. Culver's face was filled with a little too much glee, while it was Adrian's turn to whine. Dude, why would you tell him that? Draco only laughed again, saying, suck it up, Buttercup. Lying in bed beside Draco, I whispered, I think I may be pregnant. I'm not sure. Maybe I should take a test in the morning. He rolled over and looked at me. Baby, we might be pregnant. Oh, goddess, I could be a dad? A real dad? How soon can we find out? Have you been feeling all right? Are you nauseous? I can get you some crackers. Or ginger ale, chicken noodle soup. I will get you some soup. I laughed and said, my sweet love, I said maybe. My breasts are tender, and my tummy has a bulge. I may just be getting fat. He grinned. You aren't even close to fat. Stop that. He laid his ear against my stomach, and then his face lit up in a huge smile. He whispered, I hear it. A fast little heartbeat. It's there. We're parents, baby. A little you and me. We test first thing in the morning. We will go straight to the clinic. I am so happy. You have completed my life. And now you are adding to it. Draco was up with the dawn, nudging me awake. Come, shower with me. I want to be at the clinic when Doc arrives. I giggle and ask, what? No coffee? How will I function? I need coffee before anything else. Pulling me to my feet, I realize, okay, we're doing this now. While I dressed, Draco disappeared, returning just as I tied my shoes. Coffee in hand, he said, hurry. Drink it on the way, making me giggle again. This man of mine is something else. Doc looked up from his desk. Alpha, Luna, is everything all right? It's awfully early. Are you sick? I shook my head, asking, would it be possible to give me a pregnancy test, doctor? I told him I might be, and he's quite eager to find out. She smiled, of course. Here, pee in this cup and bring it back to me. I will take some blood and we will figure this out. I went to do as she asked, and when I returned, she and Draco were in an examination room. She drew some blood and asked us to wait. Draco said, "Your scent is changing, more noticeable this morning than yesterday." I laughed and said, "Or wishful thinking. And your brain has run wild?" He grins, "Oh, hush you." Doc walks back in a half hour later. "Well, congratulations are in order. You are indeed pregnant. Let's get an ultrasound done so we can see how far along and what's going on." Draco looked at me, glassy-eyed, and whispered, "Thank you, my moon. I love you so much." I held him tightly, and the doctor cleared her throat. "Lay back, Luna, and let's have our first look at this little bean." When the wand rolled over my stomach, she stopped and took a picture every so often. After several pictures, she said, "There, you see that? There's his heart, spine, arms, and here, legs. The head is measuring around 14 weeks. You actually only have 2.5 months or so before you are parents. Have you not had any symptoms before now, Luna?" I shook my head no. She then said, "Do you want to know the gender?" Draco nodded right away. She grinned and said, "Congratulations. It's a boy."
Chapter 25. The Most Beautiful Sound. Draco's POV.
Aurora fashioned her bombs with all the ingredients she needed, mixed with a little gunpowder. The antidotes have been given to all our dragons for the past 2 weeks, every day. Amber had been feeding false information to Michelson's men for the past 2 months. We know the attack will happen any time within the next 2 days, and my beautiful mate agreed to remain in our underground bunkers with the other non-combatants. Much to my relief, Evander is due in 10 days, but Doc said due to his size, he could come any time. Apparently, I make big babies. Who knew? Aurora walked, sort of, into the office and crawled into my lap. I asked, "Not feeling it today, baby?" She shook her head and said, "My back aches, and Evander is doing jumping jacks on my bladder." I laughed and rubbed her back for her. She isn't hugely pregnant, and Doc said she's carrying well. She has maintained a strict regimen of exercise and eating healthy foods. We were blessed in as much as she'd never had morning sickness. Adrian walked through the door and told us dragons in the air, hundreds, blocking out the sun, and headed this way. I asked, "How long?" To which he responded, 4 hours at most, maybe less. Aurora stood to her feet, sending out a pack-wide mind link for all non-combatants to get to the bunkers immediately. She kized me, long and hard. "I have this. You get in position. And Draco, come back to us." I grinned and told her, "I guarantee it." Adrian and I headed to the battlefield. The 10 mortar tubes were lined up, and I ordered them prepared. We would fire them at intervals. 5 would fire. Then the alternating 5 would follow behind in 10 seconds. Aurora had over 200 bombs, and we tested the sleeping drug on Culver, so we knew the effects lasted roughly 6 hours. He groused about being our guinea pig for 3 days, but Pete got a good nap out of it. The thunder of the dragon's wings could be heard 100 miles out, and I couldn't help but wonder what this fool was even thinking. Where's the stealth? Had the maniac thought it through? At first sight of their initial line of defense, I ordered my men to hold. I alerted my archers to ready their bows. Arrowheads dipped in Aurora's poison. They stood at the ready, and I watched Michelson's dragons approach. His strategy confused me. The first line of defense were his fire breathers. Ignorant asshole. He is sacrificing his strongest by sending them in first. I alerted my men. As soon as they fall, engage, hand to hand until the last man. Wolves, ready your beasts. Adrian asked, "Today's a good day to die?" I growled, "A great day to die. Archers, choose your targets and fire." I turned to my armored division, ready the mortars, heading set at 82x47, and fire, fire, fire. We had hundreds of naked men falling from the sky as their dragons went to sleep. It gave a whole new meaning to that song the ladies like. It was definitely raining men. Within minutes, we were in the thick of it. Adrian hadn't shifted, nor had I. He was standing, facing 5 men trying to make contact. His left hand held his sword, and his right swinging a mace. He looked like a medieval warrior and acted accordingly. I waded through every combatant I came across, snapping necks or ripping throats out. I was on the hunt. I wanted Michelson. He would die by my hand this day. I saw about 20 men break our ranks and run towards the pack house. I yelled, "Culver, pull your unit. Insurgents headed to the house. Protect the queen." He ran like the hounds of hell were at his heels, all 10 of his elite guard keeping pace. I finally spotted Michelson, hiding behind Jerry, while he let his beta take every hit aimed at himself. Coward. I stopped where I knew he could hear me. "Michelson, tell your men to lay down their weapons. They don't have to die today. Only you deserve death for the pain and anguish you've caused your own people." He laughed and ordered them to attack. I linked my pack to incapacitate if they could. Spare as many as possible. I stormed toward Michelson, knocking out anyone who tried to stop me. Within minutes, I reached him. Punching Jerry in the temple, he dropped like a stone. I grabbed Michelson by the throat and snapped his neck, then severed his head. Holding it high enough to be seen across the battlefield, I roared, "Stand down. Your leader is dead. It is over." Every one of his men dropped to their knees. They were easy to spot, naked as the day they were born. A few hundred lay dead or dying, and I linked to my people, "Sound off." We hadn't lost one man. I ordered the cleanup, and Adrian started piling bodies to burn. Culver timidly came through the mind link alpha. "We need you at the bunker immediately," and I took off running, fighting my panic. Reaching the front of the bunker, the door had been destroyed. Several of my pack were milling around, bloodied, holding broken limbs. I looked around and spotted my mate. She stood with a broadsword in hand, surrounded by a dozen dead men. They had attacked the bunker doors and rushed the people inside. She fought them back out the door, protecting our people. She looked like an avenging angel. Her hair wild around her face, clothes bloodied, a smear across her cheek. I walked towards her and softly said, "Baby?" She looked up at me and smiled so sweetly. My breath caught in my chest and told me my water broke. I rushed to her and lifted her, but she said she needed a shower and Doc needed to treat the injured. Her contractions were still spaced far enough apart that she believed we had time, so that's what I did. I took her to our room and showered with her, even when a pain would hit, and she squeezed whatever part of my anatomy she could grab. I made sure to turn my body to one side or another, just in case she decided to relieve me of the weapon responsible for her pain. Once I had slipped a long nightgown over her head, I carried her to the infirmary. Doc had 5 more people to see and bandage, so she pointed us to a room to get situated. Evander Caleb Draconium came kicking and screaming into the world 3 hours later, and it truly was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard.
Epilogue. Draco's POV 4 years later.
We had finally retrieved all the dragons Michelson had deserted on Denali and incorporated them into packs. 200 hobbled dragons had finally healed and were able to take flight once more. Adrian found his mate in one calmly beautiful dragon shifter named Beatrix. Aurora immediately loved her. She was the perfect beta, and we couldn't have asked for a better mate for the seriously quiet Adrian. They are expecting their first child and are over the moon. Caleb and Naomi have 2 children, 1 of each, and word came in a month ago Amelia is expecting Anderson's heir. She hasn't grown up. She hasn't changed. But we had heard that Anderson has taken a mistress. Caleb believes, once the baby is here, Anderson will set Amelia aside and mate the mistress. That is one fuked up situation. Aurora, and I have a little girl, Adriana, who arrived almost a year to the day after Evander. She is expecting again, but this time she's miserable. She's had morning sickness consistently since day one. I think because we're having twins this time. Speaking of Aurora, and she walks, waddles, my little duck, and sits down on my lap, sighing. I asked, "What is it, baby? How can I help?" She sneered. "These babies are the last ones, Draco. If I have to tie a knot in your dick, by the goddess." "No more," I nod, trying not to cringe and use my go-to response, "Of course, my love." She growls. "And you can go tell your little three-nager that a cupcake cannot be classified as a legit breakfast food simply because it is made with milk and eggs. Just because she says so, while you're at it. Tell you are Fornado if I step on one more fucking Lego. All 5,000 of those demonic bastard pieces are going in the garbage." And I replied, "Of course, my love."
The end.